Jax is for the Jax into the Gwen if it's played out of the day. Anything for FPX? No. I mean, that's sad. I like to hear the Gyres out in full force. And thanks to the follows, everyone, while we're in here. Worth noting, we have Ignite for Flandre. Goes for the Combat Summoner. Anything else that's interesting? No. Not particularly. Not particularly. Ignite for both supports as well. Yeah, Katara, you can ask questions about LCK. That's fine. Yeah. Well, what's up? What's on your mind about LCK? Anything interesting about level 1? Wards placed down, of course. We've just seen that on a screen there. So, new up, we have these two wards. Starting out, just stuff to spot walking into the river in case there's a walk over the river. Alistair is so goddamn loud. Another for FPX, there was like a little bit, but not that much. Sheer, stacking up that passive. Has the counter strike again. Uses it there. Hard trade. Conqueror for the Gwen, not the Grasp, by the way. Really focusing on the combat stats. Q start from Kyle, but Dre getting the double knock up as well. Using the Aftershock for damage onto both of them, actually. That's one of the reasons he stuck up for a second longer there. When's the next Foss bomb up? I get to auto attack onto him for free there. Buckler comes through, gets the shield, gets soaks the Q damage, the pulverize from Dre. Dre has been a very good Alistair player recently, it's worth noting. Audio might be slightly desynced. I need to very quickly reload the stream, folks. Hang on a second. Might need to see what happens in the top line play so far. Should be okay. Okay, let me just quickly do this. Just because the audio was desynced, I'll make sure that everyone's having the best viewing experience. Thank you, Sam, for the coffee. Andre walking forwards again. Q on target. Often the way that you play with Gwen into even in the hardest matchups is you just sit on the wave, auto attack as much as possible, and you just threaten a full stack Q. Double pulve comes through. Dre, good damage onto Hope, drops the Ignite. Assume does have that flash to follow up from a follow-up auto. Hope needs to be careful here, actually. He does have the barrier. Kyle has flash 2. And after what seemed like a decent early level, Kyle and Hope losing out heavily on the 1v in the 2v2.
I'm going to go grab my chair recently, but I do want to remind people that the last time Assume was on the Misfortune, he got a pentakill. May have lost the game, but the guy knows his way around this champion just about.
Very true. A pentakill in a losing game. Sad scenario, that. Top lane Flandre getting more CS and actually getting better HP trades than Sheer. Has the Ignite, remember? Damn, that max stat Q. Doing tons of damage. So that's what Cork is a bad pick. Never see it do anything. In LPL it's a little better. In LEC it's been doing awfully. Can't remember if I'm being honest with you with the LCK results of it. Shanks is going to get pucked backwards, but does have solid Spirit Cleave to get a bit of shielding. Drop that chair on my leg, Sam.
Unintentional, I do apologise.
It's alright, it's all good.
Didn't mean to attack you with the chair, that was a little bit rude.
Still, well, all the things are happening. Kyle and Hope get out of bot lane without actually using any of those summoners, and are still ahead in CS for now. The wave will even it up, but so best bot lane not as impactful potentially as we were thinking before. And Sam, let's get settled in. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, pretty good. I've been on a bit of a journey, Alex. I went to go buy milk because we were out of milk. And then I've got Shadow coming up here. Shadow, you're going to ruin story time. I'm telling the kids about how I went out to buy milk and actually returned.
He's recalling. I think
fine.
I think Flandre knows that. Well, so what's happening now? So look across the map. We have bot lane resetting because they want to change things around. Gwen will go down towards the spot side instead. And even though the wave looks pretty good for Sheer right now, he needs to actually clear this out because there's a chance of getting dove on the next wave.
Yeah, he could as well.
It would have depended on where Tarzan was. Now, as it happens, Tarzan is not on that side of the map, so he will be fine. But
it was a possibility.
it's just like in Sheer's head, he's like, Gwen's no longer in the lane. I need to be careful. Carl just missing out. And that wall's done.
Slightly awkward angle. Can't quite land it. And gets away with it. But yeah, milk story, Al. Want to go buy milk?
Yeah.
Which was fine.
Yeah.
I came back, dishwasher was clogged. So I had to unclog the dishwasher.
Oh, I thought it didn't look clean.
Yeah, so I've unclogged the dishwasher. It turns out that cardamom seeds really do need to be very carefully put in the bin.
Oh, right.
So that was fun. And then I want to use the milk wizard to drink your coffee. And even though it'd been through a dishwasher cycle, it was black. So I had to go spend 10 minutes doing that as well. So it's been that coffee, Alex. Was a 30-minute saga. I had to microwave my own coffee.
Just quick, 20 minute get your adventure in and out. It'll be fine.
Come back holding bottles of milk and crying is what's happened. But you have now got coffee. I am now sat down and the saga is complete.
Yay, and I have caffeine to feel a little better about life.
And the dishwasher's also unclogged, hopefully. So
Yeah.
life is largely good.
One of the hang on a second, we might have a topside player here. I think Tarzan hanging out in the brush. Carl maybe baiting here actually. Yeah, here comes Tarzan. Let's see what they can get. Dre can disengage.
Where's the Arctic Assault forward? Nice pulverized. Does get to back away. Shadow now turning up though, can look for the shield vault to someone important. With them all stacked together, not the easiest to pick your individual target there. And the team managed to back out without anyone pulling any serious triggers. Care. It's a bit of a nasty chunk there from Shanks. Just lost the Q3 available as well, so could have theoretically threatened a little more there at the end as well.
Had his ult, see. But yeah, the Poppy W saving Tarzan, Hope, and Kyle on the retreat. That would have stopped out that shield vault. Grove spawning in a minute. Shadow at a very good point of power right now, of course, with the Pantheon early game being really nasty. I'm kind of worried for FPX about what Shanks is going to do in the next few minutes, though. This guy's a very good Yone player. I think he was the best player on AL versus BLG, from what you were telling me. Yes, Knight was ridiculous in that series, but somehow Shanks managed was trying to like do all the gymnastics possible to stay in the game. And actually, credit to him, he did. That's just the problem with playing SBLG when they have some players on form, isn't it?
That it is. It'll be interesting to keep our eye on. I think for me as well, today, one of the matchups I'm keeping my eyes on. Yes, top will be very exciting. Sheer versus Flandre, both quite innovative players in our top side. But I think Dway and Kyle are two I've got my eyes on here because there's been a conversation that we've been having, that some of the other LPL commenters have been having. I know I've chatted with Rafa a little bit about it and Cubby about it as well occasionally. And I've seen it even on the Reddit threads that it's a little engaged there, is that Kyle and Dwayne might be our next big superstars in support role, because it does feel like our top end of LPL supports isn't anymore. Mako not looking that complete right now. We're looking at Missing and On and some of these other players who used to be the best we had to offer right now kind of stumbling, and these guys might be the ones to take their place.
Wondering going to collect this wave. Kyle, anyone around to help him? Does get the walls down. I don't... Hang on, wait. Starzan has 6. Maybe there's a play here.
Quite land it. Sheard gets to hop away. Ignited, but swift enough with the leap strike to get out to safety.
Has a teleport if he wants to get back out onto the map as well. So Grubs have spawned. Yone's on top side. Now that's interesting. Normally we see top laners on that kind of side of the map if it's quote-unquote weak side. But I suppose the Yone, powerful in a weak side scenario. Pantheon's coming through. We'll see exactly how strong he is.
Has got the R, still a Q3, so lots of knockups. Gets knocked up eventually, but will now get shunted back. And of course you can't buffer through CC anymore under Yone. So despite all of the tools available, can't quite survive the damage.
And honestly, it wouldn't have mattered. Even with pressing the E, he would have been going back through the minefield. He would have still had a, an ulting Alistair to deal with. FPX, good dive there. However, it is still double ultimates, and it hasn't actually given FPX the window to go towards Grubs. So if their goal was, let's get Grubs, that's a failure. They only get one plate on top side as well. So that's, it's whatever. Yes, they get a kill onto the Talia, but I don't feel like that's a worthy trade. AL, they get the Grubs for Gwen and Yone, who will likely be hitting towers at points for cross-mapping. That's a big win for AL.
It feels like they're in an okay spot right now, if they can get the Grubs and stuff. Yone, a little upset to have died, but didn't blow the flash. It was just the ult and the Q, so a little upset that no one took aggro before he could buffer through some other stuff, but either way, it's not the end of the world.
No, actually, they did take aggro. It was just an ulting Alistair. So it's like...
So yeah, aggro is relative at that point.
So by the way, if we don't get a replay of it, which I don't think we will at this point, it was actually really well played by Shanks. He tanks the damage from Alistair, but goes unstoppable with his ultimate, so he can still fire back with CC, because otherwise he would have been perma-CC. And then he, like, Qs through them for the extra bit of CC, uses E to the side, but then there's just a point-and-click Pantheon. Okay, the combo comes through Pantheon to Leer. He did everything he could in that scenario. It's just, it's an ulting Alistair. What can you do?
And I don't think Burning Flash gets you out there very easily either.
And it doesn't matter, because it's a point-and-click Pantheon. You can flash away from Pantheon stun and it will still stun you. So, again, Shanks played that as well as he could.
Grubs did get taken at the back end of it for anyone's Legends as well, which is nice news for them. Dragon is up and available too. Might be another point of contention. Not seeing as many early dragons I expected with the changes to Grubs. Just feel like some teams feel a bit leery about really hard forcing those right now.
Yeah, I think it's when you used to do the objective trade. Okay.
There's the interrupt. Start on a ward, and Kyle feels a bit upset.
Yeah, it's an annoyance, really. An annoyance of netlings. That was a thing for wood elves, the fae things that they could summon, the sprites.
Yeah, I remember those little sprite things.
Yeah, it's like it's a group of owls is a parliament of owls.
That's a good one.
A group of crows is called a murder of crows. Apparently, a ravens is an unkindness of ravens.
Yes, I did know that one.
All very ominous. Although ravens are actually pretty cute.
What's a group of octopuses? Octopi, octopodes.
Oh, they also have a cool name, but I can't remember. You know what? So I'm gonna Google it.
Go do that. I feel like with their uncertain plurality,
a consortium of octopus.
Oh, yes, the consortium of octopodes.
That's great.
Oh, the octopodes.
Oh, the octopodes.
No one's going to get that reference, and that is perfectly fine.
Yeah. Everyone should read Terry Pratchett.
That's the honest answer, yeah.
Everyone should read Terry Pratchett. Very, very good author. Shanks, a little bit behind the individual matchup, tries to walk around the 9 and does.
Gets the Q as well. Can get a bit of a junk there. Doesn't want to burn the Octopi down bot side. In comes the Grand Starfall. Flonberg going to try and play out the 1v2. Has a lot of needles, but Sheer will be forced to flash, but does survive and clears out the wave. FPX secure the kill, the ignite. Not enough to bring Sheer down, though he did get kind of lower than I was expecting, I won't lie to you.
That is the power of Quen doing stupid things with Q stacks and the Ignite. So Shadow is going to go towards the Dragon now. A second good use of the Global coming through from the Pantheon. Feels like it's a conversation which we've had a lot in the last couple of days. I don't actually know if Shadow's going to be able to stay for this, though. So this is now the second time where Global was used, objective wasn't actually taken. Bit worrying for FPX. Back to the conversation we've been having more in the last couple of days. Every draft has multiple globals in it that can help it right now. Pantheon to Leer, Shen, I think Sion with his ultimate applies to this too. Galio Rise. FPX, lock in the Pantheon to Leer, it's very common, and it means you can quickly respond across the map to make plays like that. However, AL, credit to them, they lose one kill, max, and then they get the objective afterwards anyway, because at least the HP is low enough on FPX for them to win the fight afterwards in uneven numbered fights.
Definitely can be difficult to manage. Of course, Leer Pantheon notoriously quite good at punishing people. Don't necessarily need the Pantheon right now, though, as Shanks eats a lot of damage going across the minefield and has turned up to lane and will immediately have to leave again.
Care getting babysat pretty hard in this early game so far. I don't think you should be up here, Shanks. You just lost half your HP. I mean, could look to try and play through the wave with something like an E and then the Q stacking or whatever, but very dangerous.
Here.
Okay, now the other members are up here, so he's safe to do so. But Shanks does need to be quite careful walking up to towers away from his teammates.
It does feel like FPX have been playing aggressively towards these side lanes. They've obviously been a little bit frustrated by the fact that their health bars on their various members when they've made those plays haven't been what they needed to get the objectives after. Shadow, as you've kind of noted, has gone, cool, I've got the kill! We've got the man of that! And then there's a Sejuani going, no you don't.
Also, by the way, Schwongles. Fantastic name, by the way.
That is a wonderful name.
Appreciation from Os, well, appreciation from Berlin for you tuning into the shows. Sam and myself appreciate the kind words an awful lot.
Thank you kindly. Also, hello, Kazel. I'm seeing your usual chatting over in Onivia. I'm trying to think how to phrase that. Did so poorly. Hello, Rizuri, as well, obviously on the YouTube. There was a question earlier about whether we had Pepsi to go with the coffee, and I refused to engage with Pilk Talk this early in the morning.
You know, back in the day, people used to put a shot of whiskey into the coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
We do it with Pilk.
It just sounds truly awful. Fizzy coffee, Al.
Well, you know what? Someone has probably tried that before. I mean, that's basically what an energy drink is at some point, but, you know. What? Yeah. Blade the Ruin King, built by Yone. Full build now, basically, so I can start really doing some nasty dueling.
Did someone say Pilk? 1,000 Kites? No, he didn't. Absolutely not. No one would ever mention that word. Or Pilky Gaming.
Fizzy coffee. Wait, is someone actually had fizzy coffee in chat? For Harold? Really?
Harold, is it good? Speak up now or forever hold your peace.
Tarzan on bot side.
Sheer.
AL, I mean, Sheer doesn't have that flash, does have the ult. Level 11 hit by Flandre.
There's Damien Power, and then the Grandmasters might looking to find a moment, trying to get the counter strike onto 2. Doesn't quite get it through though, because the Glacial Prison is excellent. Kyle also being here means Sheer. Unfortunately, faces Sheer cold, and that one-hit KO is a 100% success rate.
FPX, I really feel like they should have had a global or hovering that lane. They have the Pantheon ult, they have the Talir ult. Yes, I understand Talir going up towards the top side, but Pantheon ult is up. I think that's a disconnect between Sheer and where Shadow is on the map. You've now lost a full tower towards the 3 Grubs Gwen. You are meant to be ahead in this matchup. Someone made a miscommunication there. You have the globals to protect that kind of play. I think in a 2v3, you can get the Jax out alive, even if you have to blow a flash or something like that. So Sheer, losing that death, losing that tower, macro mistake by FPX, and AL pounce well.
At least going to trade that back somewhat. They do get the Herald as well, so there's a few bits going back towards FPX, even if it isn't as clean as we would have liked. And we were having this conversations before we came on air as we were setting up today. They have to wait a second as the Keeper's Verdict comes down onto 2, actually. Stun onto Kyle, who's not going to force a flash. Dies before he gets that much value. Hope now having to Valkyrie away as well. And the Globals come forth. Anyone's legend, but the ones that are punished can look a bit more Joy looking for the flash. Pulverize gets it onto 2. Shanks now flashing away. Permafrost stacking. Joy will then immediately ult to cleanse on out. Tarzan forced to flash in turn. TP top. They could potentially look for the tier 2 here. Shanks misses the Q3.
They don't have the Grubs. I was actually wondering whether Shanks would ult through to clear the wave out there. Doesn't choose to. While this is happening, Hope is pushing mid lane. AL do have 3 Grubs, so their cross maps are quicker and more effective. There has to be a response teleport from Care with that in mind. So it is a tower and a kill for FPX. Again, I feel like with how much they're investing, they should be getting more than the 1 kill. The tower is a good bonus afterwards, but I'm a little bit worried that FPX you know, that kind of game state where AL, like, they are a team which we respect an awful lot. They have a bunch of people who can carry team fights. They have a Gwen, a Yone, and a Cork. You can all clean up fights. If FPX misjudge one of their entrances into fights, AL can very easily clean up fights.
AL are hovering around the Atakan. Dragon is spawning now. This would be soul point for anyone's legend, but I don't see any members realistically in a good position to contest, especially as Tarzan and Shanks are debating trading the Atakan for it.
Just trying to see what the wave pushes are like. Yone likely to get topside turret. AL not in position to contest this one. Tarzan topside towards the Atakan as well. Can't exactly rush an Atakan. Hang on a second. Dre spotted out. Does get the double pull.
Frost comes on down. Doesn't want to burn the ult quite yet. Assume caught with that fate sealed though. Doesn't turn into anything more. Ult from Dre in trade for ult from Shanks.
Tower for Shanks gets him some individual gold. That'll power him through to a second item, which he is behind on right now. Care at that 2 items is really quite scary as this Talia. And then, of course, Dragon on the side. Teleport's coming in. But FX do have the globals to approach if they want.
They may be forced to. It's going to get rushed really fast. Shadow needs to get his Zookeeper's Verdict. Prevents the Pantheon from getting into the pseudo pit. Atakan taken in fast order by anyone's legend.
That is a reality check for FPX that you can forget Sejuani is really quicker to taking objectives if they have a melee besides them. Permafrost spam onto the objectives is really high damage onto Dragon, Baron, Grubs, Herald, and Atakan as well here. So, Tarzan, Shanks, Flandre helping with that one. They get themselves the Atakan, which will give them a bunch of the petals, which you can see on the top of the screen. Gives them a decent bunch of extra damage and, of course, the XP as well.
Puts them in a great position there, that's for sure, in terms of picking up some stats, and also improves the Grubs they've got. Remember, they got all 3 Grubs. Those are now empowered. Feels a little bit like your 6 Grubs plus Atakan buff from patches past, even if it has been changed just slightly. You've obviously got a couple of the early dragons as well, so in terms of those additional amping buffs, not a bad thing. Flandre, though, 1v3. The Gwen is strongish right now. I don't know whether she's 1v3 strong, though, as Dway comes on forwards and begins to put down some hurt with the Headbutt. Pulverizer needles are good, but there's a seismic shove. Shoves him straight in front of a walking bus that is Shadow and the rest of the squad.
Flandre's W not quite enough to outpace the point and click of FPX. They get inside the Shroud, take him down. So, what's happening on the other side of the map? Shanks is going to recall. Prompt secured by Shadow. Trying to keep him safe. He has 1,000 gold ahead in jungle, of course. We did highlight the mid-jungle together. We're very, very far ahead. Shanks is going to get himself second item with that shield bow. FPX, what's the answer now? In terms of what do they do? Well, there's not many turrets for them to take. Baron is alive. I guess they secure some vision around that, but they haven't been able to clear out that much from AL. So, I mean, look at this. Just walking over 2 wards into their own jungle. FPS get, again, like, they get 1 kill, but they haven't really got that much after it. It's good to get the kills. That's not a bad thing. That's the reason why they're ahead of the game. But they haven't got that crushing blow, which I'd normally expect with so many picks like this. Doesn't even steals away the team blue buff in the enemy jungle on the other side of that.
Baron's now up and available. No one's going to rush that one as yet. The lane turret has fallen, of course, for both teams, so a little bit of wave clear duty required from Assume, as Care will also snap up the ward in that banana bush, and PX there to try and reclaim vision control around the Baron to make sure no additional sneak/rushes occur.
Really good AL vision. Just really good vision. A couple of wards, I mean, one just timed out behind MF in the mid lane. Gives them really good ability to choose where to take the plays. They haven't really been able to force plays in the way that they would like. And again, one of the reasons why they are behind in terms of gold. Gold isn't everything. Worth noting, gold isn't everything, but worth calling it out from anyone's legend. 2 minutes till Dragon. Baron's up. Both teams have vision-ish on it. Shanks on the bot side has teleport. Still 1,000 gold behind, as we've highlighted before. FPX, I guess just waiting to pull the trigger around the next objective. They actually have been pulling the trigger kind of away from the objective timers recently. I think now's the point where they do want to start taking those fights into the objectives themselves, though. They can't really allow another dragon to go over and give soul point. I think that makes their decision-making beyond that point really difficult. And, of course, Baron is Baron, so not the easiest there. Got a Seekers on Flandre. Have a Seekers on Care as well, so a couple of stasises to pay attention to the next fight.
Stasipodes.
Stasipodes, yeah, that's the correct plural.
Yeah. So they have a 8-second stuns, like eight arms that...
Well, that would be the octo part of it rather than podes.
That's true.
Although someone was trying to gaslight me into saying it's octopodes because it's Greek.
Octopodes, that does sound quite cool, though.
Octopodes.
I could get behind octopodes.
It's like, you know...
Octopodes.
Well, this is the thing, you know, like, you have, like...
what do you think I was going to say, Al?
Aristotle, you have, like, Sophocles. I mean, imagine saying, like, other words like Bicycles or Testicles.
Euripides.
It makes me laugh, Sim. Makes me laugh. Alright, Dre, in position for a combo here. Tarzan fairly tanky, though. Good heart seal stacks. Has the second item of that, Range wins. Only really cares about... Oh, Care does get hit by the ultimate. Where's the follow-up?
Yeah, about okay for now as the needles begin to fly its way, though I think will be less than happy. Gets just about caught by that Fate Sealed and goes down. Nice pick up onto the Alistair, and anyone's legend finally get a clean pick without a response from FPX, and that will set them up well for this dragon. They're just going to say, no, we can't fight. Now you have to go and have a look at Baron instead.
Yeah, FPX want to make sure that they are giving anyone's legend a hard choice to make. Right, you can go take the dragon, but we're going to take Baron at the same time. They're going to clear out Vision. They do start up now. It was while that control wall was a lie, so I'll maybe think that they're going for the full start. Do they have a blue trinket? No. Dragon's taken. Tarzan dashes backwards. He'll be safe. He was the best face checker. Tarzan, really good play to pick off, start that last play and then confidently face check there. Is there teleport coming in? Yes, there is. Yone does have that ability to E-forwards again.
Shadow gets knocked down as well. Good collapse from anyone's legend as they begin to really put on the afterburners. Another good pick. That's the jungler. Baron's here. Soul Point and Baron in a matter of moments. Oh, FPX.
Jway,
he fumbled this.
Jway didn't use the flash in that last play. Might be able to use that for a big combo now. Does need to be careful with it. Hope not doing damage to the Baron. Needs to be careful.
Hope not in the pit. Kyle eats a lot of damage. They're going to get caught in the pit. In they go. Try to threaten people as Shanks caught back at his Tarzan go back on in. Look to smite it away. Assume gets one. But they're all trapped inside. Back in goes Sheer. Can't get the kill on Flunder. Goes Golden Well, but there's still a counter strike. And that'll mean Tarzan surely falls as well. Hope alone survives. He runs towards the mid lane. Assume's going to try and run it in, though. He's got a very fast Misfortune just picked up. A little bit of the speed boost courtesy of those cinders. Won't manage to pick off the Cork. That's 4 members dead for the Baron.
So there's 1 Baron buff remaining. And in that fight, by the way, it was Yone that picked up the Baron. I'm not even sure Tarzan got a smite down there. I didn't see whether it went on cooldown during that play. It was a messy Baron take. Initially, I thought, well, AL, they've gotten the one pick that'll end up like turning the game for them. Kill the jungler into the Baron. That'll turn the game for them. But Dway still had himself his flash available for playmaking around here. What the heck happens around the actual Baron take itself? There is a smite, but it's taken by Yone. I actually think that was smote a little bit early by Tarzan. Had to be the Q coming through, I suppose, from the Yone afterwards. Dre obviously then flashed over to secure Tarzan.
Nice read on that one. He headbutted Tarzan out of the pit at the beginning of that play as well, so he had to find his way back in. So good stuff there from the Alistair. A little bit of redemption for getting called out in the mid lane just beforehand. And FPX, sure, they've lost the Baron, they've lost the Dragon, not great, but punishing at the end of that helps mitigate the advantage that AL just earned.
FPX making sure the Baron power play is near enough minus 2,000 right now. So anyone's legend. They did get themselves the Soul Point, they did get themselves the Baron. I struggle to see how they're going to use it that well, especially since AL want to be splitting their members up and kind of pushing through multiple lanes. You have a Yone and a Gwen, they want to be side laning. The Corki is going to be sat in the mid lane.
On a ward, though, as you kind of noted. You know exactly where that Corki is, and he's not going to get anything out of this Baron, really. He gets to hold the mid lane wave. Hooray!
That's why they can't really do that much for the Baron buff. All things said and done. That being said, 3 items for Gwen and for Yone. Very scary. Talia on the other side, only died the once so far. Care has flash up, has Zhonya's. Doing a decent amount of damage. Not the most towards the Sejuani, which is a bit of an issue, because that's the only person that can kill tanks. Jway does have the ultimate, doesn't really want to blow it. Get away with it for now.
There's the bullet time in the Raptor pit. Hope forced to flash on out, but Flandre's got a good angle here. Gets a decent knock up this Kyle, but it's not going to matter as he just gets melted. Jway just about surviving. Looking to say something more. Sheer into the back line. Goes looking for a counter strike. Grand Star Fall as well. They bring down Tarzan. Shadow caught out a little bit deep, but has the Guardian Angel to work with. Flandre, Golden, will die. Weaver's more to come support their jungler. Fate Seal does land onto Shadow as he gets the pop onto Shanks, who is forced to go back across that minefield. Counter strike comes on down. Hope will not be able to reset with the Baron buff. trying to go back to base with those empowered recalls. Won't have it happen. Counter-Strike comes on down, and Sheer picks up a triple.
Insane work by Care in this game. The ultimate to follow up, the combos, the damage, flashing forwards onto Hope to stop his recall. Game-changing plays from the mid laner of FPX. He is a streaky player, is Care, and this looks like a bit of a hot streak. Well played from him on the Talia. 5-1 and 9. Talia really making things work for FPX.
I remember when we were kind of having a chat about this game and the game state, and that we were saying, look, we've got two of our contenders, the teams on the upwards trajectory who, at the beginning of the year, we counted out and now actually in Group Ascension have been seriously improving, week on week, game on game. We expected our next series to be the one that was legitimately contestable. We thought FPX might have a good showing, but we expected they would stumble against anyone's legend. Honestly, they have been playing today exceptionally well. This fight is an example of it.
The engage goes on to Dway. Hope, I don't know, it kind of jumps into a position where he can get easily comboed, has to flash out. I suppose it's not the worst situation ever. But you are going into a single direction team fight versus MF and a Talia. That feels like it is inherently going to lose. It is inherently bad. They get to use the minefield and the bullet time in a single direction. Blondre, yeah, he is a late game Gwen, but diving 1v4 is still diving 1v4. But still, the hero of this team fight is Care for me. Like, Care continually forcing the angle forwards. He's been using that fight to chase the ultimate to chase down fights in the second half of it. Gets the recall cancel. Zhonya's is through it. Means that Hope dies as well.
It's a wonderful bit of murder off at the back end of the play. There's the Infernal Dragon as well. And FPX, it's not been as clean as I think they would have liked. We've had some moments where we've seen, actually, you could have got the extra kill. You could maybe have gotten the objective there. And it's given AL some routes back into the game. The fact they've managed to secure a negative Baron power play for anyone's legend does feel really good. And FPX at 5 and 8 are making anyone's legend at 9 and 3 look very mortal right now.
Earlier, I was saying, well, it kind of feels like AL, they can just take one clean team fight and then they'll start to steamroll ahead, blah, blah, blah. That hasn't happened. A real credit to FPX. They've been taking fights very well. Even if I think that they've fallen behind maybe a little too far on objective at points during this game, they have made sure that the fights are going in their favor. Their use of globals has been good. They've made sure they've taken fights in the right kind of shape. It has been frontline stood in front of the MF and the Talia. It's never really been about catching out the MF, about cancelling the MF ult, something like that. And AL have been struggling to find extra options.
That said, it is now 35 minutes into the game. There is no Soul for FPX, there is no Baron for FPX. And anyone's legend have still got a Corki at 4 items, a Yone at 3, a Gwen at 3, Sejuani and Poppy as kind of people to start up fights. You are still getting to critical mass on 3 of the hardest scaling carries in the game of League of Legends.
4 items hit by Hope's Corki. Has the Shojin Black Cleaver. Fairly tanky for this build, but not tanky enough to survive a bullet time. Hope doesn't have the flash for the next fight. Baron's up and available. I mean, I don't think FPX need to start objectives. I feel like they are just happy walking across the map, picking people out of position with the globals. I don't think they have to start the objectives themselves if they don't want to. Now, they might still. Tarzan being flash up level 16 with ultimate maybe gives FPX some room for thought, because they don't necessarily want to go for flips. You can't kill the Sejuani that quickly. Baron started.
Does get tagged. Not really committed to as yet by FPX. Good shove though onto Kyle, threatens him. Turns the locket, and now Shanks in turn in danger. Nearly goes down. They've killed off Dway. The bullet time can't quite bring down multiple members. Just enough vehicle, but overcomes Care, puts down the Weaver's wall, prevents easy retreat into the base. Sheer looking for something, and they can't quite do it. AL get out with low health bars, but actually with a man advantage. Kyle interrupted on the retreat there, as Sheer finds him resetting.
Kyle misses at ultimate in that play. Wonder whether AL could have gotten more from it, but still 1 kill to the side of AL. Nothing for FPX. Bit of a worry there for FPX. They couldn't get their combo firing off effectively enough to clear through one of the backline members. Baron now started by AL, and remember we said, hey, they have a lot more damage with the permafrost spam from that Sejuani than sometimes you think. Sheer on the flank has flash, has ult. Let's see what the Jazz can do.
The last Baron was a 4v5 that went very well for FPX. This one, they don't win the Baron again, but what about the fight after? Tarzan flashes on out. Flandre will likely die, but 1 dead this time instead of 4. Much better.
The freaking ult for the Pantheon. He was on a steal timing that. That could have been the smite steal from Shadow. So close. That would have been disaster for AL. This time, you were right in saying, though, anyone's legend do get out with a lot more members. Let's see what they can do with an actual effective Baron buff this time.
Shear's going to try and get that wave shove. Minute and a half until Dragon. That would be soul for anyone's legend. Reminder. FPX maybe thinking about re-rolling the dice there and then, but anyone's legend, it is starting to get a little bit more playable, isn't it? Tarzan now looking for potential angle onto Dwayne. Goes on forwards, eats a lot of damage back, will be forced to burn the ultimate. Not as tanky as he wants, Bloodkeeper's Verdict comes on down. They'll try and bullet time to buy some space. Redemption as well. Tarzan now in danger himself as he goes on forwards. Redemption to try and potentially bring down Assume, who's got a GA. They've broken the Alistair. And the Misfortune now in the revival. Care though, here to try and threaten, but the minefield is timed out. That means you're going to shove Assume back into the enemy team. Health bars are desperately low though. And Hope with the Valkyrie won't be able to get out to safety. Kaz comes on forward with the Weaver's Wall looking for more as Kyle split off. Shadow looking for him. Blast comb from Tarzan to try and get out to safety. Running for the hills on that Porro as fast as those little fluffy legs can take him. Care still hunting. Arctic Assault away. Another blast cone. Where does Tarzan go? Because again, if he can't reset, Bill will not be alive for this dragon spawning.
And then Shadow's going to be around the corner. Tarzan will die. The grand scheme of things, it's a 2 for 2, but Tarzan dies so late. You're absolutely right. He won't be around for that dragon take. Things got very hectic in the last minute or so. Snap plays on the bot side as Tarzan jumps out of the brush to catch up Dwayne and the pushing bot lane members. However, while this was happening, in the picture-in-picture, we were seeing Sheer taking the top lane Inhibitor and having a very close 1v1 with Shank. So Inhibitor down in top side, Flandre's pushing that out now. Dragon is going to spawn now. I guess AL
have to give it.
They might contest and look for a fight. It doesn't look like it, especially with Tarzan still dead as their big initiating tool. 3 dragons to 3. We're very much into the late game now. We are cresting 40 minutes. And we'll get a replay of whatever the heck happened here. So Tarzan hops out of a brush. Joy just didn't expect him to be there. It's a good play from Tarzan to start that off. And did have the Poppy ultimate, did disengage a large amount of damage from FPX as well. You know, with that Slayer not being that, a little hard to make the plays. However, you are still against a team with double globals. You have that Pantheon, you have that Slayer. You can force that play a little harder. And Care is not the main focus here. So while all this is happening, Care gets pretty much free damage across the entirety of the play. Gets that ultimate to start chasing down, and we know how that ends up.
That blast cone knocked Talia off the wall, by the way. Well timed by Tarzan. Could have gotten a little bit more scary earlier on, but either way, it wasn't enough to keep himself alive. Doesn't manage to get off the great escape. Soul point now for FPX, and lost them so much of their health bars to bring down that Misfortune. Ended up coming to bite them in the booty shortly after. Tarzan, back around.
He'll take the skill grab. There's no smite here, so it's just Sheer trying to see if he can sneak it away. Sadly, not able to do so. There was an ult into mid lane as well from the Pantheon. It's late game now, so it's lower cooldown. In fact, it's 2/3 off cooldown right now. I do want to talk about Sheer though. We talked about mid jungle being very far ahead, and god damn is Shadow far ahead. 2005 gold, 100 gold ahead. But this Jax is a real threat. Jax does deal very well in late game teamfights. If he has flash available, you can kind of flash him for the counter strike even without using your leap strike, which can be blocked by the Poppy W. Sheer is very, very fed. 4.5 items, and the 3 Infernal Dragons don't just buff up his physical damage and his attack damage, it'll also give him the bonus on AP as well, which comes through from that Zhonya's. So you've got to be aware of that burst that can come through from the E and the ult. Jax is going to nuke the backline if you allow him to get like a flash counter strike into the back.
Gwen on the other side nearly at a death cap, and she's not going to be miles off. She gets a big R combo off in the backline, a massive snip. People will also die there. Sheer, I think with the way that the LPL spectator works, that was indeed his flash coming off cooldown, not just going onto it. So has that flash up and available. As you noted, if he does get that nuke option, the flash will be a key part in enabling that. You have to imagine 2.5 minutes until the soul available for either team. On the other side of your screen, though, you may note 1.5 minutes until Baron. It feels like one or the other of those objectives will be game-breaking. Well, I've said that a couple times this game, and it has now gotten to 42 minutes in.
I think earlier I was fairly convinced that AL would eventually outscale. I don't think that's the case now. I don't know if that's actually the case. Care is actually getting towards a Void Staff. Wonder if that's coming in a little bit too late, because there are a bunch of, there are a couple of those chain-laced crushers, the upgraded Merc Treads on the other side.
QSS as well.
QSS from Shanks too. Particularly into actually killing off Tarzan effectively, that's a big problem. But still has that Blighting Jewel, that is very impactful. Full build for MF, who has a shield bow and a GA. So it's double ways to stop themselves from dying as easily. And of course we talked about the Jax before. AL don't have the easiest way to force fights. And one of the big problems is, if AL are trying to flank FPX pull out their globals, they flash in with the Alistair, and they close down one side of that flank. Very hard for anyone's legend to outflank FPX, and FPX, if they can take a single direction team fight, they get the Talia and the MF kind of firing in the same direction too.
I think the other side of that is like, on an individual level, Gwen, Yone, Corki, fantastic scalers. They really are. I'm not taking that away, and I would argue, obviously, the Yone probably outscales the Talia, the Corki probably outscales the Emma, but it's relative bounds. And as you said, one of the issues is their way to fight is very all in. You need the Yone hitting a big ultimate, the Gwen finding a really significant full commit fight. FPX have been really good at punishing that. Baron now started. They are melting this really fast. Tarzan is not around in time. It is gone.
So Baron's gone, on the other side, AL, can they get some control for the Dragon? Say it doesn't matter. Here come the ultimates going on to Hope.
Try and find that big
Dre.
pulverize. Hope just get over the wall at least. Burns the flash to stay alive. Flandre now on top of Shadow. Throws down a lot of needles. Can't quite find the kill. Shadow goes looking forward. Does get the stun onto Hope, who managed to Valkyrie back, but it leaves the Gwen out to dry. GA for the Corki now broken. Shanks flashed on by Sheer. Gets an additional auto. Another knockup. Tarzan no longer the king of anywhere, as they got another set of kills. It's the ace. The game is over. FPX strike first in this series.
Foam plus Phoenix making this series an interesting one. A lot of people assumed it would be an underdog matchup here against AL, who are clearly a top team. Well, FPX are clearly better than them in this first game. Game 1 goes to FPX.
Contenders v Greats. That might be our lineup for today. FPX and WE. How far they can climb is up to them. And in
The play. Jin would ruin into their DPS? No, there's no tank on the side of AL. And they do go towards the Draven. Alright. So assume Draven wanting to blow open that laning phase. See how they're played with that one. They'd have no DPS with Jin. There's no tank on the side of AL. It would have been completely fine. Also, Jin is more damage than people realize. Enjoyed Sam's casting on NLC yesterday? Yeah, so did I. It was very cool to listen to. I think Jin would have potentially been better for FPX's comp, but now you can look to snowball around bot side. Violet onto Draven. It's not like Draven's good DPS either, though, I have to say. Draven is actually worse in some cases than damaging than Jin, because he does need to be with an auto attack range. Jin can follow up from longer range from that. I also think that the Jin would have been a massive takeaway from what AL wanted. They would have had very few CC. Onto the Rift, let's hear the Joes. On to the Rift we go.
How are we feeling about the draft? So I see us soon back on the Draven.
Well, Jway got Nico, which is kind of huge. There was an interesting thing towards the end of the draft where FPS could have taken Jin on 4, and I don't think AL would have had that much engage or CC options left. That could have been an issue. Instead, they choose to pick Ornn, then last pick the Draven into the Jin, instead saying we'll play for 2v2. If this game becomes about mid-game, Ryze, Jin picking someone off from long range, and then Rumble and Neferi kind of taking them down, also the Leona in the combo too, then I think FPX will have made a mistake in that draft. So we'll see how much the Draven pays off. Assume has always been a Draven player. Doesn't get to pick it as often now. Not many people playing that Draven, but we shall see if it pays off.
Also a draft where Draven is the primary threat unless Care gets really, really fed on the RE. It's not always the easiest place to be in. I know we both chatted to Jack Spectra a little bit about Draven drafts, and well, he offers us, look, actually sometimes you do want somewhere else on the map that will draw eyes away from bot lane. You need to keep Frodo alive while he's carrying the ring to Mount Doom, so you can get those cash-ins a little easier. Tarzan going for this invade onto the Vi at the level 2.
Tarzan gets it.
Was secure, flash over the wall, they want to play. There's Jway coming on over in the form of the Draven. Shanks now gets charmed up, is in danger himself, maybe forced to flash here. How much further do they want to go? What's the cooldowns looking like? A Shadow went looking for more second flash blown, but again, no kills.
I think Care should have charm flashed and secured the kill onto the Neferi instead of trying to play the kind of the easier charm angle and get the Ryze instead. They were unlikely to have enough damage to kill off that Ryze, and that's what happens to them. Still, Tarzan gets away with the camp steal, and they'll be happy with that. Shadow will need to pick up a kill elsewhere. Getting ahead in the Neferi matchup is very dangerous for FPX on the other side of the map.
See exactly what the pathing from Shadow will be. Of course, burned his own flash in that play. They just have to deal with the fact he's down that camp to potentially look for the Scuttle Crab spawn and try and play for double Scuttle instead as a kind of bit of recompense, but not necessarily
Can't charm flash with the dogs behind her. Well, if you use the charm flash, you can charm past the dogs, and I can't remember actually, I didn't see in the back end of that, if the Neferi dogs had died midway through the play.
Oh, Squish, thank you for saying you enjoyed the cast on NLC last night. I had good fun with it. It was fun getting to cast with Mark. It's been a little while. Got to cast with Nymaera, my brother, today as well. So going through a few different colour casts. It's been good fun. Down towards Scuttle Crab though. There's that fight over this. Shadow is queued away, interestingly. I wonder whether they could afford that. Bot side. Dwayne now in danger. Has to flash away himself. He's just dead, isn't he? Not quite. Healing pot is enough to keep him up and about.
So the 2v2 getting spicy now. That Joy left lane. Ooh, it's a bit scary there too. So he's on no HP. Luckily ends up making out of that. Shadow will get the bot side scuttle. But yeah, this is one of the issues of, you know, falling a little bit further behind in that Neferi matchup. Yes, level 3 Vi is quite powerful, but Tarzan had the level 3 too. Could have just W'd through that Q, so that's why he Q'd away. And if suddenly you Q and you miss, Rune Prison, die to another round of cooldowns from Neferi. Shadow couldn't really fight on that top side. Mid jungle from AL give themselves a lot to play around now, actually. More than I thought they would have in the early game.
Yeah, too. Honestly, I wondered whether Shanks at half HP would have been the better target. He had the flash on the Ahri there. Could maybe have turned and burned on that and play the 2v1 after, but I might be thinking that.
You can't do that into a Neferi, because Neferi starts the Conqueror, kills you back. I don't think that's possible, you know. It's the difficulty of playing that kind of early game skirmish against these nasty kind of AD carries in the jungle. I say AD carries, but you know, AD fighters in the jungle that can carry. So they are ADs that carry.
Yes, they are AD damage, but melees.
They're attack damage?
Attack damage, yeah.
AD damage?
Attack damage.
Yep, that's the one. God damn it. What was it? Daggammit?
Yeah, whatever the phrase is. I won't attempt that one.
So FPX, they picked heavily for their 2v2 in bot side and for some early game snowball. Not happened just yet. The longer this goes on for, the more I get worried for FPX. They need to get an early kill in somewhere. Later on, yes, they will have the Ornn, they'll have Fine Eco, but the later it goes, the more I do get worried, because I think that Ryze, Jhin, Leona, setting up for a Tarzan's Neferi, who has been very good on the pick, I think that's a big mistake.
Yeah, this Draven will not have a great time unless they are so far ahead they can just stand in front and bulldoze their way through opposition. And you can do that potentially to a Neferi, assuming you get to your 2-item spike on good order, and then Neferi goes in and you just auto them and they cry a bit. But that has to be set up for success with a cash-in or something. Got 100 odd stacks of glory right now, but Tarzan has found his way behind Vision here for a second or two. We'll find the control ward. That's top side. Equalizer comes on down. There are pineapples in the lane. And Sheer in a lot of danger here, actually. Maybe forced to flash. Doesn't quite have to. And enough of a turnaround there to threaten an all-in under the turret. Means Flandre won't go looking for the 1v1 fully.
This is post-nerf Biscuits, by the way. Look how much healing he gets from that. Oh,
yeah.
Biscuits, Doran's shield, does the work it needs to. Gets that ult out of Flandre. Doesn't have the teleport himself. It's a bit of an issue.
Other side on Kyle. Quite deny the shield of Daybreak though, so assume ends up taking a bit of a chunk after the Deadly Flourish bounce spell, so half the HP of the Draven. Well earned there by anyone's selection. Tarzan still around bot side, and FPX now at risk of a dive. Deadly Flourish goes wide this time, but I think this Draven's in danger. Flash and Cleanse available. Doesn't make a damn difference. The Realm Warp's down here. Shadow also turns up, but it's just too little. It's just too late. Tarzan gets another. Overcomes Care, though. Looking for the flash and the charm grip. Flash on out from Hope. Finds a beautiful angle to escape the engage.
But Care finds an awful angle to engage himself. You didn't have to play the engage like that. Could have waited, been a bit more patient, dive into melee, wait for the flashes, and then charm afterwards. That's one of your basics, Care. Messing up there a little, maybe not understanding there was a ward in that brush, maybe thought it was unwarded, so could get a charm out of the Fog of War. FPX lose their Draven early, so he doesn't get that cash in. And that's one big loss, and, you know, again, return back to that draft. You could have taken the Jhin and played a lot more for denying the enemy CC on the other side, instead of picking
a much more volatile champion in the Draven, especially if it doesn't work out. It's a big problem. Assume is shut down, and FPX, I wonder whether there'll be questions about that choice of AD carries at the back end of the draft.
See how it all plays out right now. It's looking pretty good for anyone's legend. This Draven attacked early, relatively successfully, so Joy to get a kill back. But of course, it wasn't the Draven who really would have liked that cash in before falling away to the wolves. I suppose dogs doesn't Neferi count as a wolf, more like a coyote. I suppose a hot dog in this skin, the most aggressive bowel movements of all time. That's what that's providing.
Yeah, that's what the late night hot
That's
hot
a
dog
Trafalgar
stand.
Square hot dog right there. That's what that is.
Dragon Scout's going to go to AL after Shadow thought he could maybe sneak it away. Shadow losing in the early trades too if jungle is a really big issue. 1-0-1 on the Neferi. This is already smelling like a very difficult game for FPX. You do have Vi, Nico coming up to level 6 soon, but you're already behind 1,000 gold. The Neferi is a champion that can ignore that combo by and large too by pressing W. Grubs are going to get started by AL now. FPX are just behind on so many important metrics of not first to the objective. And now you have Jhin, Ryze that can, hold their ground, look for a little bit of CC, and the rest of the team can follow up. AL are in a very comfortable spot.
Soulflare onto remember no cleanse. There's Equalizer.
Why did you pick the Draven?
For all the Draven might be able to stand and deliver in a 1v1, he's still a very immobile carry into a lot of CC that can do just that.
I know that Assume is a Draven player, but why did you pick the Draven if you don't know how to snowball around him early? No, you have to be playing strong through the early 2v2. You have to be getting the champion ahead. They could have picked the Jhin, taken it away from AL, which could have been so huge later for the composition. Now Assume is very far behind, and FPX, I'm really, really worried about how they're going to play out through the mid game. I think they're going to have to play from behind, which is not something they had to do in that last game. They were very good at proactively looking for picks. They're going to have to be on the back end of that now, and I think AL are very, very comfortable.
There's a huge CS discrepancy. Bot Hope, I think, had a pretty weak Corki game on the whole. Some awkward Valkyries, some awkward flashes. For all, he got a lot of gold in terms of items, and it did go relatively late. Never really found a team fight where he got to be the star. Right now on the Jhin, significantly ahead of the Draven. The attacks have gone well there. That's really helping set this up for success. Early Ghost Blade here as well to kind of try and survive some of the people running for his head in the likes of the Nico and the Vi. And play that one out with a little bit of aplomb and move speed to his name.
Ghostblade is just also just good damage first. Just a good damaging first item. Jumi goes for the Ghostblade into the fire cannon, and you just really like the stats after that point. Gives you a bit of everything, right? Assume holding mid lane now, but he's died twice early on. Has 76 stacks at this point in the game. That's not acceptable for a Draven at this point. You're gonna have to deal with Solar Flare, Equalizer, Rumble and Jhin looking to pick you off with bits of CC as well. This Draven is probably going to lose FPX the game now. That is what you put yourself into. You have failed the early game hard enough. The team did not rally to their defense. They didn't play well enough through the 2v2. Kansas missed the top lane cannon there as well. Unlucky for him. FPX, for a team which showed such a good game one with creative, aggressive angles, messed up in the jungle trade early, didn't manage to pick off Tarzan, didn't win the 2v2, losing in the mid lane standoff now between AD carries, which has put Assume even further behind. I just don't understand what's happened between game one and game two. They looked so good in game one.
They have failed to snowball. They don't have the globals, and anyone's legend, I think, have gone back into their green room and had their coaches have some very stern words with them about how they're playing the early games, and they look a lot more proactive themselves. Now topside, Shank's going to have to TP out and does so. Dwayne just late on the Pop Blossom, and actually has gone bot side to help out with the Blaze, who escapes the cross map and gets involved on the other side.
Leona goes down, or at least gets one kill, but it's just more AL kind of proactivity, not really being answered in kind by FPX. They are cross-mapping up towards the top side. Ari and Draven, rather than the Nico up there, do dive onto mid lane. The Q flash misses.
Oh no, it was just shy. That one feels a bit sad. I feel for you on that one, Shadow, but still, it's just another moment that feels really awkward. FPX stumbling after a great game one. Multiple ways there. Top side, Dwayne blows the ult, trying to interrupt the TP out from Shanks. Fails. Shanks gets to go bot lane. Doesn't actually get involved with the kill, but was strictly there for the play on the turret at the very least. Mid lane, they try to go for play. fumble that one too. That's just a sequence for FPX that goes really wrong in every single lane at once.
However, you know, flipping this around, look, we've been talking, I think last game we talked a lot about AL because they were, hang on a second, there's a death on Shadow as well. Uses his ult, don't think it's going to help Tarzan. I'd imagine he still has a W up here too. Sheer goes out. Shadow has been blasted by Tarzan's Neferi. There have got to be questions about why Tarzan got Neferi in the first place. You had to have a plan to shut down this Neferi. It didn't work. And now suddenly AL, their jungler who was down like 3,000, 4,000 gold in last game by end of by the Nexus fall, may just solo carry this game from this point. You are so far ahead on one of the premier jungle carries of the modern era.
Yeah, and you're also looking at a Rumble that's 1,000 gold ahead. Your mid and bot are also over 500 gold ahead. Like, everywhere you look, you're getting significant leads. Any one of them could have been problematic. We've got the replay in the picture-in-picture. Shadow just walks into the Neferian Rise, gets room prisoned, and does not pass go.
AL complete control over the sides of the map which they want to be playing around. They can move into the jungle with impunity. And now the real difficulty is, when AL walk forwards and Tarzan finds someone, if you tag a bit of damage, Jin W can turn into a root. Shanks can press his ultimate, turn up to the play as well. Flandre could follow up with an ultimate, depending on which solo lane is on the strong side of the map. Wait, yeah, caught out.
That one sucks, now in danger. Gonna try and back away a little bit, does manage to flash out to safety. Curtains are just wide, Joy gets to walk away. Can
Equalizer.
find the equalizer though? Yes, he can.
Joy goes down, a bit confused that that's the Aria mode, but he was trying to hide as another Versailles. Goes down, Flandre picks that one up, and this is exactly what we're saying. Whenever AL make a play, the follow-up range is so intense. You know, and FPX, they don't have any kind of fire back now. They're looking for Avai Ari, Avai Nico, you know, Jay Draven walking forwards and taking hard trades. None of their champions are online. They have the one item, I suppose, but it feels like it's come too late. Now they're too far behind the game for it to matter.
Well, now Flandre about to find Shadow. What is going on? FPX! I know that there's a cyclical nature to Phoenixes. You die, you get reborn. You die, you get reborn. They got reborn last game, and immediately they are being put on the barbecue. Oh my days, this is a mess.
They die, they live, they die again. As, Shanks even walks his way up towards mid lane now. Shadow falling behind after that early camp steal, failing to get a kill back, instead just getting the 2 flashes was a huge loss. I think the fact that they tried to go for the split the damage between the Neferi and that Shanks in that early trade and don't get away with anything but those flashes completely put Shadow out of the game. Really, more than we thought so at the time. No, they do end up getting that top side scuttle. Sheer is teleported into, I don't know at this point. Herald's going down. Ari will teleport and answer that bot lane. AL are so far ahead on the map. They are ruthless at making plays. Everyone can tag on to plays which everyone else can. You know, if Rumble's in a hard trade, teleport in from Shanks, Tarzan ults over a wall, Hope W, Kyle with the ults and whatever. FPX, by falling behind in bot lane and in jungle, have left themselves with no ammunition to fight back.
This game is, for all intents and purposes, guys, over. There are 2 dragons, there is feats of strength, there is 3 grubs, there is a very significant gold lead of over 4,500 gold in some really alarming locations. The Draven has not cashed in, is 0 and 2. Unless this Draven finds the mother of all cash-ins and gets, say, the shutdown on the Neferi, I think this is looking pretty doomed.
AL, maybe making another play on the side lane too. That's the global we said can follow up pretty well. Sheer's trying to get under turret. I'm not sure it's going to help that much. Well, maybe I'd tell a lie. Has enough magic resist to get through bits and pieces. FPX are pushing onto the mid lane now. They don't have any grubs to help their push. Hope can safely wave clear on his own. Shadow clear out a ward. FPX, what do they have in terms of plays across the map? They have objective bounties available to them already because they are how much gold behind? 5,000 gold behind at 17 minutes. That's ridiculous. So hard to come back from that. FPX, trying to wave clear as best they can, but they're down 3 grubs, 2 dragons, a tower, a bunch of tower plates too. FPX have not managed to fire back with any of their own. And I think particularly the problem for me is you're 2,000 gold behind in the jungle role, which Shadow is so often tip of the spear from. He needs to start those plays, but when you're that far behind, you can't really, can you? And he's going to jump forward onto targets with more HP. You know, got HP on Flandre from Leandri's and the Haunted Guys. Shojin is HP from Tarzan, as another Ruby Crystal as well. Rod of Ages onto Shanks. So not only are you far behind, AL are starting to get some luxury HP on top of the pace of the game. They shouldn't be this tanky for this timestamp, but they do be. FPX wandering towards that top side. They will be able to get themselves an objective bounty off the top lane tower. That's going to go towards the team, Bashir will get the tower itself. I just don't ever think they'll be able to scale up in time. Doesn't feel like it's that achievable. Herald into the mid lane. Ale forcing down the tower.
And it goes. A load of captive audiences put off on one side as well. It's always one of the hidden strengths of Jhin is the fact that you can sort of fake Teemo shroom into places and just zone off areas of attack. And it's been surprisingly hard to gank in the mid game once he gets enough of those traps stacked. And set up for another turret shove. Turret number 2 falls. Assume clears a wave in mid, and that's exactly what you draft Draven for, you know.
Yeah, this is the prime Draven angle. Surely he doesn't need early kills to get ahead of the game or anything.
Not with a Viari either when you've set up your first item spike ults and trying to...
And the thing which is really gonna like stick in the craw now too is Jhin has Swifty's Ghostblade Zeal.
Yeah.
Like you are never catching this guy. Like, you can't even walk it.
Footwork.
you can't even walk up and do that much about him. They've centered on the fake Ahri skin of Care. I have to say, look, Care, I talk big about his Ahri, and I think he's a very good Ahri player. Recently, he's not actually had great angles on it, though. Which is a shame, because I really enjoy watching him when he's playing well. He said he's a very streaky player, can be very hot and cold. Last game, he was very good. And this one, sadly, flipped the coin over. Dragon in 10 seconds. FPX are rocking up to this, but, you know, Ryze is teleporting in. We'll have a second item very near to that Seraph. Doesn't have the completion just yet. We will see whether FPX can pull off the Nico combo. Joy, you've had this pick banned away from you an awful lot. Let's see what the Nico can do from this far behind.
Try and find something. Dwayne normally on that Nico is a win condition in and of himself. Can he pull a Niski? Can he find that huge engage? Dragon secured. In comes the call of the Forge God, but it's interrupted before it can be reactivated. Now the curtains are being called. Will they be forced to take a bow on this stage nice and early? Dwayne can look to block something. Sheer gets hit by the 4th shot. Finds a knock-up over the wall. Doesn't quite go down until now. Turning it around. Draven finally gets a cash in, but will surely burn out to Flandre. You got the kill, but at what damn cost?
Care flashing away from a final bit of damage. Shanks, does he have the move speed for it? Very nearly. Not quite. Thought he judged a little better. Tarzan has the ultimate just run out. Can't quite reactivate that through a Q. Will kill. Misses that one too. Care lucky to get away from the dog pack. And so AL, they will lose the dragon, but get a bunch of kills. Importantly in that play, Jway gets killed before his ultimate can complete. The ult goes on cooldown, but doesn't get any of the damage of the CC in. Assume we'll get him through to a second item with that cash and even in gold with the Jhin now, but it's happened far too little, far too late. Anyone's Legend, much cleaner in the way that they snowball through this early game and cut off win conditions from FPX.
You know, Draven being even isn't really a win. Especially if you look at the rest of the map. Like, yeah, that win percentage I feel is actually a little bit underzealous.
It's a bit tame.
It's a bit tame. I'm looking at this game and I'm going, I'm seeing a 2,000 gold lead in the jungle. I'm seeing a 1k gold lead in the solo lanes. Hell, that's a 2k gold lead now for this Rumble. I know it's into an Ornn who is a little bit more low economy, but that's brutal.
He has a 10 stack Dark Seal, so if you add on an extra 700 gold on top of that from the extra value you got from the AP of the stacks which don't character into the gold, makes it even worse. So Perm CC onto the Ornn, doesn't get to reactivate the second part of the ult. I'm not sure it would have mattered anyway. They try and body block for the shots, and then Sheer, for reasons unbeknownst to me, walks out from behind the body blocking and loses HP anyway. And then after that, Jway goes forwards, uses the ult and dies anyway. So can't get himself a big play. Asim burns down after. This game was over before they could ever group up, and that's a huge issue.
Also, I just saw Shadow try to Q Nefiri, who pressed W. It was a little bit sad. Bad times were had by all the family. You have at least got the Infinity Edge on the Draven, and that's potentially something. You will got a relatively squishy composition on the side of anyone's Legends if you ever do get free time to start autoing. Especially if you can pick up something like a Lord Dominic's Regards next. You might be able to find some damage back, and maybe that's a brief window. You can get towards ornaments and the like as well, but that still feels a ways off. Didn't get to take Atakan. I wonder whether that might get rushed. It did not.
AL have lots towards the enemy jungle now. The problem is for AL, they've snowballed so early, there's no Baron to snowball the rest of the game with. You can put vision down in the enemy jungle. You can keep taking away jungle camps. AL do need to show their discipline a little bit now and say, okay, let's not over push it, I suppose. 2 items on, oh god, 2 items on the Fury. Maybe they can just over push it. Atachan is well and truly warded out. It'd be a very easy way to force another fight. Sheer trying to walk up and buy a little bit of time. The Jin W does miss. Does get a knock back. Engage comes through. Tarzan caught out. Doesn't press the W soon enough. Maybe this is the play they need.
Oh, Pop Blossom on 2 just about. Tarzan finally pressed the W so low. Would get shut down.
The heal.
Oh, get it. And it's all gone wrong. If only they had a little more gold. If only they hadn't been snowballed on so hard. Assume can't quite kill Flandre. Will blood rush, but there's a shield. The scrap is there and it body blocks the axe. And Jin goes, yeah, you don't do that. It's a Jin Penta. The quadra kill for Hope.
Quadra kill for Hope. Yeah, for Jin, it's about as good as a Penta for his love of 4s. AL will take the Atachan after. FPX, it's not a bad entrance into the fight, but as you were saying before, luxury HP has been built by AL. They are further ahead in their builds than they should be, which means they're tankier. Tarzan, by all rights, should have died very quickly into that play, but it just doesn't come through quick enough. CC into everything else, but they just can't quite finish the goddamn kills off. It is very, very close. And then to add insult to injury, the double Q2 from Tarzan gets the heal based on their bonus AD onto the targets they hit. Gets 2 of them, and Tarzan gets to heal up. The fact that Free walks away with this HP after all the cooldowns they soaked, unreasonable it is.
I also want to really shout out Flandre here, who full sends at the Draven, forces him to flash on out, keeps him away from the engage as it's happening from FPX, so he can't throw his ult at the big pile to look to get involved. He gets out alive at the end of it all. He's just built the Medjais and turned that stack into a book. This is a rough game state. Let's make no bones about it. Look at the gold lead at the top of your screen. Yeah, that one stings.
This one is going to a game 3. We've known that for a while now at this point. The big question is, okay, FPX, you kind of screwed it in the draft, really. The Draven has achieved nothing. Really should have been another AD carry pick. I wonder whether they should have picked across the Jin, but regardless, I think the answer was not the Draven. Not if you play the early game the way that you do. Tarzan, I suppose, won't have the Neferi for the next game, which FPX will be thankful for. But then again, Shadow won't get the Vi, which typically he's been very good at. I think Lilia raises in priority pretty hugely going into the last game. A lot of the early game champions off the table. Shinzao still available too, of course, for game 3, for those of you already thinking ahead to draft. FPX trying to set up a brush bait. They do get no engage onto Shanks. Here comes the call. The Forge Guard, the Violet coming through too. Is anyone coming to help? Maybe. God damn, he's so tanky!
He just won't.
How?
And assumes stands on the equalizer. I don't think that was a very equal trade. It's always been a bit of a lie, that ability name, and anyone's legend will murder everyone not named Care and turn towards the Baron.
Dividing by 0 and getting infinite value. Flandre follows up from long range, but how the hell does Shanks survive through that? Has the upgraded Merc Treads, has double HP items, full stack Rod of Ages, and the Zhonya's on top of it. FPX are so far behind, they can't 1v3 in a side lane onto a solo laner. That is so unreasonable. Shanks even gets to stick around and goes towards the top lane turret. AL, they are 15,000 gold ahead at 26 minutes. That is one of the largest gold leads I have ever seen in the in this kind of state of League of Legends. They'll go towards the inner turret, and FPX, I don't even think the last play was bad. That's how you're meant to come back in these kind of plays. You're meant to get, like, isolated picks, do those death brushes. Dre, go for an engage. 3-man Pop Blossom.
Does find a decent engage. There's
He just
equalizer.
dies!
It doesn't matter. There is no damage. There is no hope. There's a realm warp. And I think the realm they're going to is hell. They find themselves on the wrong end of the world tree. Yggdrasil has a lot of leaves, but they're on the wrong end of it in the roots. And anyone's legend are fertilizing it with the corpses of FPX. Going to game 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, you have just witnessed a 20,000 gold lead in Professional League of Legends.
me.
Before the Nexus ends, 19,000 gold. Anyone's legend, you... Like, into a grab field, that's a powerful combo too. Yeah, okay, that's it. Front to back for AL. FPX and backline dive. Camille diving into the backline. Aurora, Renata, very hard to block out their ults from the backline too. Also wonder whether it could have been a Silas angle for Care at that point to steal the Trundle ult and put it onto the
Scion,
But it's pretty hard to play into Victor Lucianami as the Silas there. So, long range backlines.
for long range backline for AL, using that tidal wave to buy some space. I'm worried about Shadow's Shinzo. Tarzan is a very good Trundle player for back in the past.
He can really bully that.
And for me, if Shinzo is out of position, Trundle blasted in game 2 though, and anyone's Legend, a team that we assume will be cleaning through this series, given pause going into game 3.
Let's go Fun Plus. A little bit of a gyro there. There's a dedicated crew there.
Also, just one last comment. I know that I got a little bit of a mistake there when Harold was saying Galio could have gone really hard. I was saying it was for FPX. He was saying for AL. The problem is if you go towards something like a Galio on last pick for AL, they have one damage source, and that's Lucian. What happens if Camille ults the Lucian and they die? Lucian doesn't build Zhonya's. You can't protect yourself from that combo. The Lucian, everything gets thrown at them. Your team fight is over if the Lucian dies. The problem with the current meta of League of Legends is that if you have one carry, it is very easy with the tools we have in the meta right now to kill that carry. Very easy to do so. Shit, taking a hard trade here. Has the grasp coming up as well. Both of them were getting that grasp. It's fight on the bot side as well, actually.
Hope ends up eating a nasty chunk there at the level 1 again. We've had this conversation for a little while, but Lucian Nami isn't necessarily a guaranteed win the early levels of the lane. They really are very much about the one item spike, the level 6 spike. The early lane can be a lot more tricky into certain matchups, and Kalista with Renata will absolutely be one of them. Notoriously oppressive.
That level 1 trade might come back to bite Hope and Kyle, actually. Losing that amount of HP means you can't fight for level 2. You have lost the push of war in the bot side. Trundle is going to path towards your lane. He does land again, but not onto Hope this time. So not at level 2 just yet. Using that Ren to get a little bit of extra damage through. Here's level 2. Can you land the Pierce? No, not quite.
Good chunk there onto Dway. Good sidestep from Hope, and the Ignite. It's meant that the heal value wasn't as high from Dway as I think he would have liked. That said, the level 2 push was still won. The summoners were still traded. So I think for FPX, they're happy enough with that trade. Assume on another very aggressive early champion. The Draven did not work. The Kalista so far already off to a better start by winning the early level 2.
Shadow now walking with level 3 as well. Trundle is going from top to bot side. Blue buff, they see it's up. And Tarzan, this time it's him that's going to be losing his bot side blue buff. He went in with an Ethereal last game. It was a pretty important moment in that game. Shadow will easily take this one away. Can actually contest with the smite here. Ooh, is almost in range for that smite. Tarzan instead does it on the other side. Level 3 now hit from Hope. And no, not quite there actually. Potentially could have gone for something. Hope now jumping forwards.
Dway gets slowed down. There comes the ebb and flow. Won't be able to find anything more there. You can see what they were hunting for, but not quite in range. Just Care in the mid lane. It's being chunked up very heavily by Shanks. Shadow, when looking for Winds Becomes Lightning, couldn't quite find it. But the return on the twofold Hex does get an Electrocute proc, at least for Care, and that will be something. But Tarzan put a ward down by that dead Raptor camp. And look for when the respawns come on through. Won't look into mid lane or anything as a result.
Xum and Dway, I was supposed to say Hue. Xum and Dway had to back off early though. Got themselves a longsword, but they're actually down 10 CS on Hope and Kyle as the wave crashes in. I'm not a big fan of that. You know, you do need to stay ahead of the Lucian Nami. Losing that much early CS, looking for the jungle play, means that now you need to push in, get yourself an early reset, and move across the map. Hope and Kyle are actually moving towards top lane instead, so we now have the lane swap detection is off. Lucian Nami can move around the map wherever they want to. Xum and Dway a little bit behind the curve. AL are one of our best teams at changing lane assignments early. See how much they can get out of this. If they put Camille into a 1v2, she kind of sucks. So Camille needs to get out of this ASAP. Will want to be backing off and then going towards the 1v1 with the Sion. They should see the teleport coming in now, and they should know the score. They should know what's up.
Yeah, Camille's already started to walk towards that bot side wave. The Kalista and Renata are on the reset, so should be able to get here as the wave crashes. I think they might drop a minion or two, but it shouldn't really lead to all that much discrepancy. That said, let's see exactly how much this wave soon picks up, because with Hope being there first, they get the initial CS advantage, but it should be largely evened up here under the tower by the FPX bot.
Still, I think, a wave behind. I think they're still a wave behind. They were about that on the bot side of the map. Hope and Kyle.
5-6 CS, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not actually fully evened up. We saw that before they switched, so it, by logic, should be around about the same, unless one of the top laners is losing it. The State's pushing in the wave on top side. But Hope and Kyle, very happy to say, okay, we can just walk towards the other side of the map. Camille's going to get some fun, but AL ignoring Now, some of the most powerful points of the Kalista Renato, they won't be able to get ahead in the laning phase in the way that they wanted to. Lucianami going to turn up bot lane now. Camille won't be able to leverage their strength versus the Sion at this point in the game either. Which is a little bit more arguable, but the fact is, Sion is much better in a 1v2 than other top laners are, most of the time. The fact that Camille has to sit here in the 1v2 means that she has to back, and we have ping-ponged around. We are all just switching time after time. Switch, one wave, clear. Switch, one wave, clear. Trying to do that to make sure that, realistically, you are never facing up against your bad lane matchups. Ever.
That's the idea. TP from Sheer to get to the wave top side. Flandre burned his on the last ping-pong. Kyle and Hope then will be around this dragon, but so importantly, will Assume and Dway were picking up the wave as we were speaking about it, and they've actually managed to get a hold of that, and now Kyle and Hope not really in a position to turn that around. Flash from Dway forwards to go over the Aqua Prison, but leaves him in a very difficult spot. Will maybe just about burn out. Just holds on to the heel. Hope and Kyle now having to flash away, but in comes Care.
Oh!
And Shadow! Between worlds they go, and the bot lane dies. Too cheeky with it, and they end up dying.
AL played Smoke and Mirrors, but that only lasts as long as the mirror stands. FPX shatter it, get a kill and an assist onto mid lane and their AD carry. 3 stacks on the Dark Seal for the Aurora will definitely be felt by anyone's legend the next time they start pulling out combos. And AL don't get themselves the early dragon. They are now behind on the map a little bit. Cow can get to walk back up into the mid lane. Is behind in the individual matchup, dropped up a couple of waves to make that play bot side. Shanks is doing well in the individual matchup there. But this is the worrying sign. You are meant to be avoiding these kinds of early fights. Dway flashes forwards, as you said, into it. That is risky as hell. The thing is, early on, you know, with Guardian and the E-Shield, Renata is actually quite hard to kill. It isn't a tank into late game, but it is at this point. Care comes down for an early roam. Shadow's caught out now, though, in a 1v3. Don't know how the hell he got there. Flandre ulted. That'll be the way that started, but Sheer wants to pick something up.
Flash from the side of Sheer to get the backside, does get that kill onto Care. Now a 2v2 occurring. Flandre potentially going to keep running. How long is the hook shot cooldown from Sheer? Just by hit by the gravity field. Not quite got the kill as yet. Decimating Smash will interrupt that turnaround. The Hex Ray comes on down. Care in the 1v2 just doesn't have enough cooldowns to threaten anymore, and they make it a 2-for-1.
Sheer, I think, maybe should have flashed in a different way in that fight. Ends up getting body blocked onto the initial stun. I think could have killed Tarzan a little quicker. Ends up getting dragged back into the play, and now suddenly Sion has 2 kills. It's a bit of an issue because the Camille wants to be really far ahead of that matchup. Not going to be nearly as easy. That being said, though, feats of warfare completed by FPX. They get the kill portion of that. They are going to move towards this dragon on the bot side as Shadow is respawning, can go towards it. It's an even game in terms of gold. Lots of early skirmishing. And with the Aurora ahead and the Sion ahead, it's even in terms of overall gold. You need to see who can really leverage their strength better now in the next minute in the next couple of fights.
The Sion could be very obnoxious until some of those later items of Camille and stuff gets in. This is how it happened. Shadow pillaged. Had to try and dodge to avoid Flandre's ult and said, well, I guess I just have to trade this with Sheer coming down and Care coming up.
We talked about this exact interaction in Champions League. We talked about this exact interaction. Shinzo out of position, you pillar them out of position, and they have to play the game a lot differently. Sheer should have probably done the flash E off of the wall to get past the Sion. Flandre did a really good job of body blocking that, but there is a way past them where you can basically spam flash and E at the same time to get that through. Q comes through for the Death Smash, the last take of the Death Ray as the second part of it comes through. Finishes up that kill. 2 kills to Sion.
Important that, especially if you can start to really leverage a lead there. A lot of these champions won't be the best at killing the Sion until a little bit later on. Kalista, notoriously quite short range, needs to get a few items before she really has any tank killing potential, before she builds things like Blades of the Ruin King. It's the Camille really who will be tasked with bringing the Sion low on a regular basis, one has to imagine, and that might take a little while.
Do you see? Okay, Grub's going down. Just going to tag into something on chat, talking about Essex and being sussy, so it's Sussex. Sussex is actually another play. Scrubs are still going down. Tarzan wants to try and steal this. There's a smite on both of them. Tarzan ulting.
Does try and get some value, but he's inside. The Crescent Garden goes down. Sheer in the 1v2 gets a decent amount of damage. The Aqua Prison lands, but over the wall they go. Hostile takeover ensures that Kyle is turned into sushi.
Well, we'll see how quickly they can take him down. Shadow's actually caught out on the other side. I was wondering whether Shanks could get some more damage down. Sheer should be able to clear this one off. So, kill over to Camille. Sion immediately teleporting to the other side of the map saying, well, screw this, I'm out. I have to get some value somewhere else. 3 Grubs likely to get taken by FPX, and AL are buying into so many early fights against this obscenely powerful Aurora at this point in the game, and the Kalista as well. The flash forward from Assume in that fight, probably the highlight for me, cleaning up that extra kill. And AL, I feel like they're trying to write checks they can't cash.
They can't. They get a grub out of that. That's the whole thing they get.
Okay.
Tarzan in there, but that's the only thing they get. FPX get 2. Still good value for your Camille here, who resets having gotten a kill involvement. Will be able to pick up most of this wave. Still down a little bit, but I think sheer happy enough with getting involved and getting some more gold on the board for the Camille.
It's a full level down. That one you do need to keep an eye on too. That's largely because AL were better in the multiple swaps earlier on. They got Flandria to waves just a little bit quicker. So, early game. Dragon to the side of FPX, multiple kills, 2 grubs to 1, ahead in most of the key metrics there. Anyone's Legend, the Scion's far ahead, will be very powerful for this point in time before Camille gets to 1-2 items. That being said, you know, Sheer can trade quite well. Flandria will have control of this matchup for now, though. Anyone's Legend need to buy time for the Victor and the Lucian to get online. That'll be, you know, the one item with the Imperial Mandate from Kyle. That's very important. And then for Shanks is going for the Rod of Ages build, wants to survive the initial dive. I think that makes sense in this game. Because he needs to really somehow survive the Camille dive. He can at least buy these the Zhonya's later. That's an important item spike we'll have to wait for if the game goes late enough for it.
So, we now find ourselves in an intriguing position. FPX actually looking a little bit more like their game 1 selves here. Good proactive plays. Assume on this Callista, much more happy than he was on the Drake. Care, again with early leads, does give him a lot more agency to make plays, and a player I particularly enjoy watching from a deficit, it has to be said, has dropped a wave, so has managed to clear a lot of that up. My only concern here potentially is how long Sheer's going to take to get online, because again, this Camille has probably been the one who lost out the most from the lane swap shenanigans, I would argue. On the other side, a nice decimating smash. Ouch. Soul Furnace out. So yeah, Soul Furnace out to try with. We'll come on down and put Sheer into a horrible spot here. Has to try to get over the wall and can't quite. Flashes away the decimating smash, just shy on the tap Q.
Shit, I mean, he walks up to a brush and gets demolished. He gets absolutely taken down to the bare limits of his HP. Ker's now coming down to potentially pick up an extra wave. Flandria can't overstay that. Worth noting that Kerr is not going for any sort of tank killing build. He's going for the one-shot backline build in the Ludens coming through. He'll pick up this extra wave. At least Sheer can now teleport back towards the top side of the map if they want. Don't really think Camille's ready to fight in terms of team fights really right now. Is going to save the teleport though, saying that. The 20 seconds till the dragon comes up.
Did get that Trinity Force off that wave, so there is at least that item completion, which is a big deal for the Camille. Of course, 2 items is the real breakpoint, but still, not bad. Over the wall they go with the cluster fail hope. And Kyle in danger, can't quite find the combo they're looking for. Shadow now in danger as the culling comes on down. Crescent Guard popped, and the pillar doesn't get as much value. The backline goes Shadow, trying to get the kill. One by Lord does it. May well die here. The healing is obscene. Hostile takeover onto the Lucian Shanks. Can't do anything. Shadow, you psychopath.
The shadows are overwhelming as the little firelight is flickering out. Anyone's Legend. They thought they had themselves a great pick onto that jungler, but the Sundered Sky and the quick turnaround was so crucial. FPX take themselves a huge fight. That should have been Anyone's Legend's win. You know, Cat completely whiffed his ultimate. You shouldn't be winning fights like that, but suddenly FPX will get themselves a dragon, a bunch of kills on top of it too. That is not what I expected from that play.
I hope we get a replay. Got to watch for the Scion. He's still pretty scary here. They'll back out of that one on the handshake. Is firm enough to move even Scion. I need to see what strategies Renata uses in her handshake techniques, because that's pretty impressive, really. All the while, though, Sheer gets a big chunk onto that top lane top. But have a look at the replay now, because it starts with Shadow being in a bush offish.
So he ends up stacking up his Q2, but then, well, Care completely whiffs his ultimate. So that's a mistake from Care. If that damage comes through, I think this fight is much easier. In some ways, it kind of baits Anyone's Legend in, though. Carl gets tagged by that W, and Shadow just basically turns around for one tap, gets a couple of kills. Sundered Sky on one target, Sundered Sky on the other target. The hostile taker comes in. This is the nature of hitting multiple targets with the Sundered Sky. It is crazy healing.
I just watched Reckless do unspeakable things on Renata last night. I'm watching Dway do similar things. Well, maybe some of these guys are just very good at Renata. Sometimes...
Well, okay, but the healing there, Sam, comes from Sundered Sky, not from Renata.
I'm just saying, sorry, like the hostile takeover hitting like 4 different
Yeah.
people.
I was like, wow, he healed up 800 HP. That's a fair champion and a fair item.
So much value there from that Sundered Sky as well. I think there was a heal from Dway that got popped partway through as well. Courtesy, I think, Fate's Call getting him in alongside the Flash. So lots of good combos happening. Again, top side. Sheer still not enjoying this Fed Scion combos, but Flandre was the one who had that unspeakable 50-second run at the Nexus. Takes 4 people to stop him getting there, including Weaver's Walls and loads of displacement. Herald at least picked up on the other side by FPX, but first turret here may well go away with was Legend in the bot lane. Doesn't get them anything like feats of strength, of course, because FPX already have that with the objectives and the kills, and Flandre potentially in a spot of bother will ult there to knock up Shadow. Won't really be able to defend this turret.
That's a bit of an issue because Flandre is the leading member of AL. He's the guy that's got the gold lead. I don't see easily how he carries this game. You're not going to have that much presence in a side lane. You can wave clear out a little bit, but as you can see there, he can't stand on a turret even against multiple members of FPX. So you think, oh well, he's very tanky. Surely can he survive the dives? Well, not in this case. The way that Flandre needs to try and carry this game is to get like a crucial ultimate onto someone out of position. That's the way you do it. But even then, you hit someone out of position. What happens if Camille jumps past you, hits your backline? What happens if Kalista pulls the ultimate and actually Joy just tanks it, gets pulled back into the Pokeball and flies past you anyway? This is not an easy game for a Scion to carry. I understand why they picked it. It's a takeaway from Sheer. He loves playing that kind of champion too. He's very successful on it. But this is not the kind of game where Scion will solo carry.
I think if Hope or Kyle disrespect a potentially invisible Aurora coming on in with 8 stacks on the Dark Seal and early Ludens, the Sork Pen boots that have been upgraded courtesy of feats of strength, you will lose that Nami, you will lose that Lucian to a QER combo. You know, that's a lot of damage that could absolutely eviscerate what remains of the Nami and Lucian's health bars.
Also, there's a point in chat, which I think is handshake back there. Stars there. One of the reasons the draft looks the way that it is Shinzao made it through to game 3 in this. I think anyone's Legend were happy leaving that open, saying, okay, you can pick the Shinzao, we'll have the Trundle. That's not an issue. You want to ban away something else. Shadow. Safe getting out from that gravity field. Of course, Shanks on the Victor. Haven't talked about him too much just yet. Good damage from the culling, but it is into the Celestial Opposition and the Locket. It's not nearly as much as it could have been.
Celestial Opposition is a very silly item. The more I see of it, you just end up unreasonably tanky into burst and pick.
For one brief moment only, but sometimes that's enough when it's the first target onto it. It's one of the things which really annoyed Zed players in Season 4 when everyone started taking Exhaust instead of Ignite in mid lane. It's like, oh, everyone plays Ignite or Heal in mid lane. People started taking Exhaust. Well, that's not fair. It's because like they didn't realize that you do actually have to just like wait, buy the Exhaust, and then go in after that point. You can't just throw everything at them. It's the same kind of thing. If you throw stuff at the Renata when she has everything up, yeah, pretty hard to kill. She's been bounced around that, and players know how to get the most out of the limited tanky tools you have in mid and late game. But throwing everything at them at first, it's not how you get the best value out of killing that Renata.
It can be pretty rough, that one. As a result, in this position where FPX have a pretty solid lead here, a few thousand gold, the early dragons, most of the grubs, and a comp that's still going to scale pretty well here. Eventually, this Camille will not be matchable in a side lane for free, especially if the Victor, say, misuses the gravity field and the Scion.
Exactly.
We know that matchup.
That is a crucial point you mentioned. The gravity field usage, it's one of the most important things which I'll have. If Camille jumps onto the Victor and gets stunned up in the gravity field, maybe she can't carry the fights in the same way. Same kind of thing with Shinzao getting pelleted into it. The grav fields need to be top-notch from Shanks, especially once you're behind the game like this. Aurora teleporting in, Dragon spawning now would be soul point for FPX. Scion on a bit of an off angle, could ult up the river and start the fight off.
Looking for something is going to be in that banana bush. Care into the Herald, gets
the
on the other side though, Shears found a potential angle onto Flandre, looking to pick him off. Damage isn't super great onto the Scion, but the burn is enough to drag him down by a little bit, all the while Herald doesn't get that much there.
But if you don't drive it, you don't get stopped like that. Why did you drive it? That's just unfamiliarity playing against the Trundle. Electrocute maybe going to Tarzan, Shadow going in.
Again, it's onto Flandre, not the easiest target. They get the free talent strike knockup, but he'll back away. It's another bit of a heal there from the Tide Caller's Blessing. Care will use the Blast Cone to get into the pit. Dragon started. Sheer on a Blast Cone angle himself.
Okay, so Sheer on side. Flandre doesn't have that ultimate now. Joy misses the handshake.
But looking, Sheer goes to the hook shot. Dragon secured. In goes Shadow with the Audacious Charge. Crescent Guard comes on down, will block out the culling. Means he gets no value. Hope really struggling to get angles for that one. As Care goes in with the Between Worlds, gets a decent jump. The hostile takeover forces to flash. Lands onto Hope. Hextech ultimatum onto Tarzan. They can't quite get the kills. The knock-up onto that Scion again. They've lost the Camille. Little deep from FPX, who's got very little mana to work with. Shadow caught off on the other side. Forced
Not
to
a good
back
flash.
in as he finds an awkward angle indeed. Shanks looking for someone else as Care goes across the belt. Atakan is there. Flash. Decimating smash. Doesn't work as he's hand shook. Will get taken down into a zombie form. But Hope picks up the kill on the bunny rabbit, and FPX, it's an ugly fight.
It's 3 for 1, all things said and done. FPX, they don't get the dive onto the backline. The Scion is the most important member of that team fight. 3 for 2, rather. Sorry, Flandre ended up dying as he went down into his passive at the back end of that. But it's the Dragon over to FPX. They will be happy with that soul point. However, this is not the kind of team fight which FPX want to fight. Yes, the flash handshake ends up missing. I think as soon as you take the Dragon, don't fight. You've already ended up using a lot of your cooldowns at this point. Sheer, I think, is probably the biggest, makes the biggest mistake in this. He ends up going far too far to go towards this. Shanks flashes backwards, ends up kind of baiting the Camille in. Yes, if you caught that Victor out a little bit closer to the team, maybe there would have been follow-up. But reality is, you don't actually end up going past the Scion that particularly effectively. So Scion can use the full breadth of his HP bar, be really annoying to stop you from getting follow-up kills. And FPX don't get themselves the fight which they really, really want. Yeah, they do manage to disengage onto Flandre as Assume managed to skip around the fight. And I was wondering actually whether Shanks would die to the Atakan. Still, soul point to FPX. AL, good team fight for them though. They don't let FPX get behind the Scion into the backline.
For potential play here. Jumping onto Tarzan, eaten really low. The tidal wave comes across, but there comes Sheer! Jumps onto Tarzan and need a precision protocol. Q2, mini Cho'Gath ult does its work.
Sheer still loses half his HP on the entry to that fight. That is a reality check. If Sheer ends up eating damage on the way to the play, it's a problem. Flandre doesn't take damage from Care, by the way. It has to be Assume killing him. That being said, Care, Assume does have those 2 items. Can stack up those Ren stacks much quicker. Atacom being started up. No smite available from anyone's legend, but he might look for the fight anyway.
Got Ren down, Smite, and in goes Flandre on that Scion Shadow. The backline, though, and the Between Worlds helps knock down the Lucian. Double knock up there with the face call, but that gravity field is nasty as hell. They get 2 back, it's the Scion getting them, and they all got caught in the choke point. Shadow, Sheer, backing away, Care looking for an angle on in. Atacon still aggroed, Sheer gets a bit of a knock, or a bit of a turnaround as Shadow goes on in with the Sundered Sky and the audacious charge healing. Not quite enough without the gravity field, and they still continue to be an absolute menace. Shanks gets another precision protocol shield. The solo lanes from anyone's legends are absolute monsters.
Care misses his combo onto Shanks, so Shanks kills them. Big mistake from the mid laner of FPX. They all end getting the CC onto the Victor, and yes, Victor cleans up, but FPX misplay the fight again. Anyone's legend playing mechanically better in one of the most clutch scenarios in this game. Tarzan back alive. The Atacon, which had no right going over to them, will be claimed by Anyone's legend.
That gravity field in the tri-brush was just disgusting. We're going to see it again in a second, I have no doubts. But between Flandre and Shanks, they did not get to move for what felt like about 5 seconds.
There must be a replay of this fight, so we'll end up talking about the specifics of it when it comes through it. But still, FPX on Soul Point, Anyone's Legend do get themselves the Atacom, which will help them here. This is after the Trundle is already dead. There is a big difference, you know, in the frontline capabilities of this. But Team Worlds is great. It's a 3-man ultimate hit. Hostile takeover goes through the brush too. Sadly, doesn't head on to Shanks. Assume you have flash. You cannot get caught by the gravity field. Gets put into the ultimate as well. Assume huge mistake here. But then the next key point, which comes out after this point, is both solo laners are alive. You don't have that great damage onto the Scion with the Callista dead. Watch what happens with Care right here. Knockup comes through. Care misses the combo. That would have killed him. That would have killed him. Look how close it was. This is, yes, a good play from Shanks, but also Care. You might have just thrown the back end of that fight when it's already thrown by Assume. Mid lane and bot lane from FPX. Huge misplays there. Shanks, he gets a 7,000 damage team fight out of it.
That's absolutely brutal. It started off with Care finding a fantastic angle onto the bot lane in particular. Hope got annihilated. Kyle got annihilated. This Victor, though, now has a fully stacked Roa, a fully stacked Dark Seal, a Zhonya's to work with, or an activation of it to work with. This is a scary, scary Victor.
And there's a 7-1 Scion. A 7-1 Scion. Shanks will now have a... Shadow is not pulling that ultimate. Wants to see if he can live through it. Does. Didn't want to blow that cooldown. Dragon spawning now. FPX not going to be able to do that now. Shanks, with that stasis of the Zhonyas and the Seekers before it, of course, coming through, very hard to deal with. FPX, there are a couple of fights in this game where, you know, the Dragon and then the Atacon before that, after that. Felt like FPX misplayed mechanically. This should have been probably their game. This probably should have been their soul, especially from the point they were at. But they've had the point now where Sheer has not been allowed to go into a side lane. 3,000 gold behind in that top lane matchup. Flandre will be able to wave clear much better than he should be able to in the side lane in this particular matchup. And FPX, they got to be sweating now. They got to be sweating. Yes, Assume has some good items as well. Maybe they can go towards a Kalista Rend kind of objective fight at some point.
Can you smell that, Alex?
What the Rock is cooking? No.
No. I was thinking about it. It smells like burgers out. You know why? I feel like a Baron flip might be coming out.
Well, they do have that Kalista for the Ren stacking. We shall see what they can do. Both top laners proxy each other as they want to go down towards that boss. Actually, it doesn't have the Ravenous Hydra yet for infinite sustain. It has to back off. He's 2 levels down on Flandre. Reminder, folks, these are the JDG top laners from last year. Sheer came into JDG, was the carry archetype in the top side. Flandre came in to be more of the level head, the tank team fight player. And now we see Sheer on the carry. 3,000 gold down at some points in this game versus Flandre. Now on opposing teams. Flandre, I'm sure he's got a lot of familiarity and a lot of love for Sheer from the time that they had on JDG. They were a top 3 team in spring of last year. Sadly, couldn't make it through to the World Championships alongside players like Kanavi and the rest of that team. Yagao's swan song in the LPL. But Flandre having a fantastic game here. And a pretty good year all in all for AL. Who made their first finals, of course, just last split.
Infinity Edge now done for Hope. Fate's Call forced on as a result of that gravity field coming on down as well. Now in a position where between the Helliers and the Imperial Mandate, this Nami is providing a hell of a lot of value to some very scary people. Also hate Helliers on people like Frontal, actually. If you can get some value there as well, you can do quite a lot indeed here, especially with this Victor now being able to play Kingmaker. So many short-range champions who do not deal with gravity field well.
FPX shouldn't have let the game get to this point, bluntly. Shouldn't have let it get to this point, but it is here now. Care does have a lot of damage. I don't think it's going to be enough to deal that well with Shanks. Yes, he'll be able to get about half his HP, but I think he'll be able to press the Zhonyas and survive through majority of it. And you're at the point now where if you dive past that Sion, yes, won't be able to stop you from reaching the victor in all circumstances, but he's going to do a significant amount of damage. And if you don't end up killing, or rather, like, if Assume goes down in the play of that, Sion's coming down, he'll secure the mid lane turret with this, just making sure that he's in position for a team fight should it happen. FPX are losing massive control of this game.
I feel like losing may be a little bit too operative. I think it's lost. I think that the action is no longer continuing in many ways. It's feeling really dire right now. We'll get that turret. Should be able to slide away with the hook shot. So there's that. But again, this is a challenging game state. Make no bones about it. If they can claim the Mountain Soul somehow, that might give them a way back in. But I just don't know how easy that's going to be.
Pretty hard. Pretty hard. Because you need to make your way towards the dragon first. You're on blue side, so the terrain works against you. You have to be stood against the wall, and potentially Flandre just runs at you with that ultimate. Force you to position poorly. 3 items for Kalista. I mean, Kalista will eventually kill the Sion. It's just the Sion's so goddamn tanky. It's a lot longer than you'd expect. You'd expect the Sion to be behind a good amount of gold. It's just not been the case here. It's got Hope also at 3 items on the Lucian with the Imperial Mandate Nami. Also doing a good amount of work now. He's not been the main character, really. Nor really will he be for a lot of this game, I don't think, now. It's mainly about that Victor, Chaos Storm, and the Gravity Field, and the Sion doing unspeakable things. FPX, they have managed to slow things down to the point where they have 3 items on the Camille, even though you're behind 2,500 gold. Camille at 3 items is a Camille at 3 items, so you must be paying attention to that.
Remind him what the sled support item does. I never do.
Solstice Slay. It gives you movement speed in certain situations. I can't remember all of them. I think it's like you get movement speed once you, I don't know, slow things or heal people, stuff like that.
I never remember what that one does. I have to admit, I apologize to all the support enjoyers out there. Some of your items are weird.
Vision control being contested around Baron. Dragon in 30 seconds. FPS wanted to keep some Baron vision. They could give up another dragon, but giving Mountain Dragons over towards a Sion who's this far ahead, bit rough. Shanks has a Medjay's, by the way, at 10 stacks, so he has the extra movement speed from that, importantly. And he has the Seekers for this play. Anyone else with the Seekers? No, that's the one. All right, let's gear up for a fight, Sam. Handshake onto Scion. He's trying to hold that door shut. Can FPX get themselves cleanly onto the back line? And can they get themselves that soul?
Shit, eats a Hextech. Rain will get a little bit burned there. 10% of the HP bar gone.
Look how effortlessly Flandre can just walk up and cause a bit of an issue. You do have Care on the flank. You can get Ren stacks in. Maybe you can just look for the secure. I mean, Flandre is just not taking damage. The poke coming through from the Victor as well. Quite scary hit.
Range discrepancy is beginning to hurt a little bit as Hope to get a jump on his Sheer, who's going to try and go back in himself with a Q2, force the flash and turn. The Sterax and the passive will pull him off. They won't be getting enough value. That's still a good hostile takeover though. Knock up onto the Victor who goes golden, trying to turn it around. Tarzan kills off the jungle. Flash away from Shank still goes down, but it's a 3v4 and Dway's got nowhere to run. Asu tries to hop on forward and get something, just doesn't have enough in him. And everyone dies at the price of just the Victor.
No dragon, no kills, anyone's legend walk away with everything. Okay, they do end up getting the Victor there. So, that's one silver lining, but it is very much crushed underfoot. Not sure if everyone noticed that, but Sheer missed his E onto the wall at the start of that play as Lucian jumped onto him. Missed that E, which is why you say, oh, he goes back in. He had to. He couldn't E out because he missed it on the wall. Panic from Sheer, who's been a massive detriment to FPX in this game. Up against his co-teammate top laner from JDG last year. Walking away from fights like that, Flandre massively outvaluing Sheer.
There were conversations last year about why the hell was Flandre even getting game time? Why are you not playing Sheer all the time? Flandre this year has largely put the doubters to rest. In this game, he is quite handily proving to be way too difficult. Have a look at it again and see Sheer missing that all-important hook shot.
Yeah, so, like, again, you say, well, he has to go, he goes back in. He has to. He has to. What else can he do? He's ended up messing up the start of his combo, loses half his HP, plays the flank very, very poorly. Shit, this is one of his worst games I've ever seen this young man play in the top lane. At such an important juncture as well, FPX, we said they potentially could be contenders towards the mid to top table if they continue on the trajectory that they're on. This is what's holding them back. You know, they've had some great games. Game 1 was fantastic. Then Game 2, 20,000 gold deficit. The fact that they bounced back into a very, very winnable game in Game 3, they should have been favored for much of this early game. It's a testament to what they can do as a team, but sadly just not clutch enough in the team fighting. Anyone's legend, much better around the objectives in this game and much better around picking off people out of position.
Going on to Hope. The Between Worlds is solid. Can't get the kill as they do finally bring down the bot lane. GA comes on out as they will turn this one around. They've got the Victor too. It's all over. They've just murdered everyone but Flandre.
Why was Flandre not there? Anyone's legend, their most powerful member, the Scion, is out of position. And just as we're bemoaning FPX and how they've been out team for, out macroed, a critical misplay as FPX might look to run down the entire game. Shit. I mean, he's trying to stop the recalls. He might die for this. We'll see how long he survives.
Does die. That will give the reset back. Sheer can't do enough to hold that one down. Scion will probably be able to clear the wave. He's going to try and TP back in. It means they can't end the game.
Okay, shit. Maybe a bit of an overstay there. Dies in the 1v1 versus the Scion. Flandre, the last man alive. FPX. Even in gold now again. Find a huge, crucial pickoff in the mid lane onto anyone's legend as the Scion was not there to make the play. Why was he that far away from his team? Why wasn't he there to respond? He didn't have his ultimate here. That's important. And Hope jumps forward. Scion is not there. Care's on the flank. Maybe thought that Care would be going towards that side lane, but your Scion must be there to protect you. Care jumps in, completely obliterates them. Everything thrown at the enemy team. And this is the difference of the Scion being there and not.
That damage was absolutely wild and a critical comeback moment for FPX. I don't know whether it saves the game for them. They are down only 300 gold, and they've still got the Camille. They've got 3 items on this Aurora, who has in fact got those upgraded boots and a death cap and all these other things, which makes her very, very scary. You've got a 4th item on the Callisto. Again, starts to change profile again. Now she's gotten a couple more defensive items, a lot harder to bring down in short order.
Yeah, particularly with the Jack Show, it means that even when you're gunning down the Scion, the Thornmail does less damage to you because you have more resist, because it does magic damage reflected back to you. You can get some extra value out of that Thornmail, out of your Jack Show, just by, you know, not dying to killing the Scion on the other side. You know, Scion is maxed out at level 18, does have the infinite staling of that W minute till Dragon now. I mean, FPX do need to find a fight. like that again is very hard to do so. At least Shanks doesn't have any Magi stacks now. He's been losing value on that item. You need to get past this Scion somehow. It's really difficult when he has Flash, 1,000,000 HP, and this much gold. You need to somehow get onto that backline.
For make that a 5th item built for Flandre. Now he's level 18, just picked up a Spirit Visage as well. Getting very, very scary. In the inventory of Care is the Elixir of Sorcery. Gets pretty scary. And I'll also note that Hope doesn't have a GA right now. Hope's Flash, though, about to come off cooldown. As you can see by the fact it's just briefly fully grayed out. It's a bit of a spectator bug. Should now be coming up in the next second or two there. It is 10 seconds on Dragon.
Vision control not great here from FPX. AL doing a good job of blacking out this area of the map. Can they find a fight away from the Scion? No, not really. Can they get Ren stacks onto the Dragon? Not with Flandre positioning like this. If you go onto the Dragon, he'll just charge up a full Q, and if he hits you with that, a team fight is very, very hard. Shit, needs to play better on the flank. Care on the other one. See if he can hop over the wall and do something.
Chunk onto Shadow, doesn't grow the Crescent Guard quite yet. Gets low, but not down. There's the Redemption. It will bring him back up to a decent amount of HP. The Culling gets limited value in the grand scheme of things. Sheer on the other side tries to threaten Shanks, who therefore not in the fight. That's your Victor not there. Big problem. Crescent Guard out. Soul knocked away as Tarzan by that Crescent Guard. Sheer puts Shanks into the Hextech ultimatum. Gets a Chunk. Flashes on out. The Victor's still not in the main team fight. Flandre, though, is a menace and takes very limited damage, but FPX do the hard work. They get the soul.
Right, so AL are going to get the inside track onto mid lane. No one wants to teleport. Well, it would only be Sheer that could teleport in to protect that. Anyone's lane legend will pull away a bit of that wave. In fact, FPX saved by the fact that they took that inhibitor earlier and they have super minions. So, Mountain Soul gained by FPX. 2 Mountain Dragons giving them some defensive stats to work with. Being said, even though we are very late game, that Scion is just not dying. 2 Mountain Dragons upping the amount of resist they have. So it's a full build Scion. Baron, in a minute, switching the vision control around from bot side to top side to protect it, set up for the next big objective of the game.
Baron up in 30 seconds. Tarzan having a rough old time of it on this Trundle in the later stages. About to potentially get picked off again. Sped up by that Solstice sled to get careening away with a little bit of help from the Frozen Domain as well. Fight over the red buff is won by FPX. That's actually potentially really important. Shadow throwing out some more winds becomes lightning. Flandre in the front line, doing his best to be as obnoxious as possible.
Things are so tense. Flandre, I can't even count how much HP he's got. Like 7,000 odd at this point,
Plus.
near enough.
Yeah.
I think it's just below that actually. Baron spawning. Anyone's legend. They do have a front to back right now. Shadow, you can't be taking poke like that's a lot of damage. Baron's aggroed onto it too.
1,000 damage shield when he hits the Soul Furnace.
Sheer on the flank.
Tarzan. When lucky the Aqua Prism was there, they had an idea that something was happening. She will go over the wall into the Krug camp and be okay.
Tarzan could have actually cancelled out with the E. Got a little bit spooky there. Shadow heal off the Gromp. They do have the Mountain Soul to deny some of the poke, which Shanks has been doing very well at. Flandre, look how far ahead of his team he's standing because he doesn't want people to slip past him and be able to like flash ult over him. Got to work a little bit harder than that. We are within 1,000 gold at 38 minutes. We had a long game one as well. The fact that FPX have managed to drag this too late game, given that some of the mid-game worries, is a testament to the growth of this team. They're a team which we thought were low tier. Honestly, they kind of were. But they're showing that they do have that upper tier potential in spurts, in moments. Assume does get the Wit's End, which will be a bit of extra on-hit magic damage. A little bit of extra tenacity for him as well.
And also help save him from the Victor damage. And honestly, the amount of amp that this Nami's going to be providing with the Tidecaller's Blessing this late in the game, with the Imperial Manzake, with the Helliers as well, like, that is a solid 300-400 magic damage worth of amp, and they'll head towards the Baron now.
So they get themselves full item on their AD carry, not the same on Hope. They start to gun down this. Sound comes in with the ultimate.
Flandre goes on forwards, Care being split away. Draws to flash away from that Sheer on the wrong side. They're caught in the back of the pit. They are split off. Sheer doesn't go over the wall. The half
the
steal! Trundle steals it! Crescent Guard knocker. Trying to turn this one around. There is a GA. Shanks goes golden. So trying to hop on forward. Hope survives. Doesn't get down to the GA until just now. Trying to keep on hopping. Knock up onto the Victor. He's dead as well. Flandre getting some work done, but he is 1v4, doing what he can to hold on to the line. Assume is dead for the record.
No one can kill him!
And Shadow is also gone. It's a 2 for 2 and Baron was taken.
Baron was taken by Noah's Legend. How did they steal that against the Kalista Rend? Assume fails the Rend smite, jumps in to try and assassinate the backline and fails to do that as well. Assume is late game team fighting, sadly leaving a lot to be desired. He's throwing himself at the enemy carries, but not able to kill them off in the way that he would like to. Anyone's Legend somehow clutch out the Baron fight.
Flash E from Hope to get far enough away that Dway couldn't, or Assume couldn't keep ordering was huge. Yes, the GA is popped eventually, but that is not the death. It's what Assume ended up facing. Let's have a look at this replay again, because it was weird as hell.
Okay, so a lot of stacks onto it. How the heck does this go through? So, gets down to low HP. He is not CC'd for that Baron. There is a pillar onto him. Maybe just messing up the timing that they were communicating. Throw the pillar at the person with the Rend. Flashes in at that point, but ends up getting, flashed back onto by Flandre. Big couple of missteps by Assume in this fight. First on the smite and then in positioning. Allows Flandre to run over the fight. As soon as the Kalista is dead, Sion wins the team fight.
Shadow just doesn't have enough stats at this point. Struggling as the later this game goes on, the Shin's out. GA's already broken. He's gone towards the Execution's calling to try and deal with some of the healing.
Holy crap, he's got 6,600 HP.
Oh my days.
It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Watch when he presses Soul Furnace. He's got how many stacks on that right now? 18,000
No.
stacks.
1,800. 1,800. 18,000 would take a lot longer time.
I was like, 18,000?
No. That's a 4-digit number, not a 5 one. Dragon, Elder, up in a minute. No magic pen besides the boots from Care. Has it from the upgrade, from the Spellslinger's shoes. Means that he's not going to be able to kill this Sion. It is all about ignoring the Sion. You have to ignore the Sion somehow, but I just don't get how you can at this point.
Care as well, because he went for the Elixir of Sorcery at the end of the Soul fight. It's delayed things like a Blighting Jolt. He has no pen right now outside of the upgraded Sorcery boots, which are good, but he really needs that Blighting Jolt.
Here comes Sion.
In danger. They'll try and get the pillar on down. Knock up onto Assume. He's still getting healed. Gets a lot of spears coming on down. Homestead! That's a big one. Tarzan throws down the Subjugate, trying to bite up into the backline. Goes Shake, gets a Q2 on a Shanks, who's desperately trying to run away himself. Gonna get another bit of damage.
Sion can die!
Can die! Surely Assume with a bailout will get that one. He's dead! He's finally dead! The Titan collapses and the heavens shake as a god falls.
His name's Flandre, not Atlas, and he can't hold up the sky against everything. FPX finally get a clean team fight to take down this demon in the top lane as the zombie dies a final death. Elder will be taken. Is that end of the game? God knows. God knows. Elder at least taken onto all 5 members of FPX.
Have a look at it again, because they full sent onto Assume, who just got to stand in auto.
So this is an excellent attempt at a body block from Dway, but the hostile takeover wins the team fight by itself. Incredible hostile takeover. Goes onto Hope and onto Tarzan, and the time it buys Assume a lifeline, and that's all he needs. He had a bad dragon fight a couple of times. The Atacama wasn't great either. Let's not talk about the Baron either. This time, in the late game, finally gets the free hit. We haven't seen the Kalista have a clean team fight up until this point. Has full build. There's a Metro Star built onto Care as well. FPX, dare I say it, now at an advantage in the late game.
Gotta hope. That hostile takeover really was exceptional. Another Baron power play that is as good as negative, even if it is mildly positive. The problem is they're down the Elder. And again, Shanks, priority number 1 in that fight alongside Hope. Hope died very fast, but was hit by that hostile takeover, and there is no Mikkel, there is no Cleanse.
Worth noting, there's a 3,000 gold lead in the top lane. Doesn't matter now. Flandre's been past his gold limit for such a long time. Sheer is almost at his build. He's at the same XP. This Camille saved their GA in that last fight too, despite diving onto the backline ship. In credit to him, he had some awful team fights earlier and an awful game in the early and late mid game. He is now at the point where he's still performing by getting onto those carries later on, and that's all he needs to do. Shrug off the early game worries, and we'll forget about them in the late game.
And while this Aurora will do very little indeed towards this Sion, or hell, even this Trundle, if this E, that weirding, ever lands onto Hope, onto Kyle, onto Shanks, they will die.
This is pushing him without the Baron reminder. They have the Elder buff for another minute, which won't last them over towards the Baron. They need to re-kill that inhibitor, and they did do. Can they get anything more? Here comes the quick engage.
Pressing guard in. Care looking for the angle onto Hope. Gets it between walls. Trying to get the burn on down. Hope is gone. Murdered by the weirding. Twofold Hex comes on through. Shanks goes golden, but he's caught on top of a few too many people. He will eventually fall, but I don't think it gives a damn. Sheer gets 2. Flounder in front of everyone as Kyle tries to keep alive, but the tank is not a carry anymore. Assume keeps on hopping. And he'll back away to the inhibitors, and FPX have done it. It is not a question. It is not a dream. They are beating anyone's legend. And the contenders might well be actually dark horses.
FPX will ignore the Scion in the way they wanted to the whole game, walk past him and kill the Nexus. FPX win in a series they lost the game in with a 20,000 gold deficit. It's locked in, tank versus tank on the top side, and the Shy's Ornn is actually pretty good too.
And pretty much everyone but the Neferi is bringing serious AoE zone control between and CC between Ornn's whole kit, the Feathers, the Rune Prison, the Realm Warp even as a kind of pseudo threat, and Pot Blossom on the Nico. That can get quite scary to go diving into. In particular, they've gone for a last pick Jarvan. And yes, of course, Zyra, unless she doesn't has the flash, can still get caught in the cauldron there. You've got the Rise without flash as well. You can get a bit stuck in there. But I worry a little bit for this Jarvan diving through all of the zone control.
No, I do worry about that, but the thing about WE is that they're going to catch someone out with a Cataclysm potentially, and then jump on with the Talia and the Kai'Sa, which is, and you know, you have
your go button, sure.
So your go button, and the Rise and the Xayah are immobile. They have to flash out, so if they don't have that flash, things go to hell for them. So I think WE walk away with a decent draft. I don't dislike IGs though. IG do need to be careful of Jarvan jumping onto them and the rest of the players.
We should probably have cheered louder for ourselves.
I don't want to talk over the Gyros because I can't hear them, Sam.
Now. IG, a well-oiled gyro machine at this point. The fans, WE, a little bit scattered. It was kind of, W get a shot and then they'd be a little bit uncoordinated. Get it synced for next game, guys. Come on, I believe in you. Mako. Spot a bother here. Ends up taking a bit of damage on this early invade, but Rookie's coming on over now as well. Ghost just popped. They really want this.
Use the Rune Prison for a little bit more, but... Okay, so Vampire's going to be down half HP. Should be able to get a quick recall. Rookie uses the Ghost. No one else uses Summoners. Are wards dropped? Yes, because Cube drops one in top side here. You can see that he's dropped it onto this side. You'll be able to see that there. On the other side, there's something into both of these entrances here. Blast Cone over the wall. Will be spotted on the first camp will Jeje, which gives Monkey extra ability to impact the game.
Shy sticks around actually to give him a little bit of a leash there. Not always something you see these days in the jungle, but I think potentially not knowing where the Scion is, if you leave that alone, you can end up just eating a decimating smash, and it can be very ugly. So a little bit of additional support there on the buff clear.
Vampire missed XP from the first wave.
Oh dear.
So he did get a late recall. That's a bit of a problem. Did see that the first Q of the game, in lane rather, from Mako did miss. They have some vision in the... Pops the sweeper late. Doesn't manage to get the ward XP there, sadly. Or the gold for it. Q does hit this time. And the... what am I call it? Comet lands after. So bot lane control for Gala and Mako. Jeje is pathing towards them. Monkey is 2, so we might see... that's the new chromas, by the way, on the bottom of the screen. That's the nice. Foxfire Emerald Chroma. You can get a different splash art in China, but you have to play gacha for it, which is a bit, you know, all over the place. But yeah, we'll see whether these junglers can impact that bot lane. However, bot side control for Gala and Mako was very important here.
Nice little bellows breath through the decimating smash there from the Shy to deny the knockup. It's always a bit of a fun tank matchup, this one. One or two of our more interactive tanks, such as it is.
Yeah, I agree. They're not the ones with like the point and clicks, basically. They're the ones with
Malphite.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. And stuff like Maokai used to be pretty boring back in the day, despite him being a fun kind of attritional champion. Yeah. Okay, Monkey skipped his blue buff, going towards the Gromp instead. Will be a little bit quicker towards bot side. Taeyeon being forced out of lane, and this is a bit of the worry for WE. It's like, okay, you might have had early game plans, but you know, you are losing in that lane. Vampire forced to recall early because of the chunk that he traded. It wasn't a bad level 1 plan, but IG responded a little better. Rookie's doing well in mid lane too. So WE, not really getting what they want out of early lanes to give Monkey a platform.
Keep our eyes on it, but yeah, you're right. There's not been any early shenanigans. The invade got a little bit dicey. Rookie burned a ghost cooldown, but again, it's early enough that really it's only got, what, 30, 40 seconds left on the cooldown? That's a fine summoner to blow that early on, I think, especially when you've still got the flash available. Worth noting as well, the Rise hasn't gone for a teleport, has gone towards the double mobility summoners, and the phase rush as well, aware that he may well be required to dance his way through team fights.
It's going to be Scuttle for Scuttle. Monkey going towards top side. When Gromp into blue buff to allow him to path a little bit close towards top side, quickly get towards that Scuttle. And does. Jed is spotted out by a Vision Plant now as well. So not that much happening early on. Cull brought up for Taeun behind a little bit, and that's a hook onto the actual Nico, actually. Good damage.
Mako's going to get ignited. Turnaround with Taeun is pretty good. Feather Caller not used.
Must have been used a little earlier, but still, good job of Gala there to trade back. It was a good hook, but the Ignite is also used. Doesn't force the heal, so you don't get the gold standard of Ignite forcing the heal anyway, but at half value. So Vampire getting something back, but there's also cookies on Mako. So
deceiving, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's a decent trade, and you do still need to do that, but it doesn't get, it's not quite as good as you maybe think at the start of it. Vampire might go for a flash auto now, though. Root hits.
Oh, that's the Tangle Barbs looking to go on forward, throw out that clone to prevent too much follow-up with things like the W, and Taeun now forced to back further and further away.
Yeah, the bot lane doing really well from IG. Now, they don't have the Cull, so Taeun... God, they are down a lot of CS, actually. It's going to be a full 10 CS. That is a problem. Gala going to get the free recall. No one's going to interrupt that one. Dragon has spawned a little while until Grub's coming through. Mid lane, even in CS. Top lane, CS advantage for the Sion, but it's a wave crashing in, so that'll even up to about the same. Maybe a little bit of a CS advantage to the Sion, which makes sense. Sion is typically a little better at trading in lane and wave control early on. The Shy cancels an auto and missing a minion there. Oopsies. But yeah, I think WE...
For real.
Yeah, but IG do walk back out onto the map with a slight early lead, and WE, I would have thought that maybe they would have liked to make a play with the Nautilus Jarvan a little early. Can't do that onto the bot lane. Dragon started by IG.
Well then. This is an interesting state of affairs. Check out those bot lane item discrepancies. That was a full Caulfield on back versus a Cull, which kind of sucks a bit. But we have now seen that I need to get out of this lane on this back, see you nerds, and rotate towards topside to get out of what could have been a very tricky lane state. Paris and Vampire looking potentially at Rookie or at this Dragon.
Oh, they won't be able to do much. Cube will spot out Mako on the bot side. They'll trade control ward kills on that bot side. So first Dragon over towards IG. JJ does this in a really good timing, so... he doesn't have any camps up and available while this is happening, so he's not losing any farming time. Go towards his Krugs now. Monkey spotted walking to the enemy jungle. And WE, again, my praise of them has typically been strong early game, strong drafts. I think the draft is fine here. I think the early game, not really as explosive as potentially we could have gone towards. That being said, that one item spike, very, very powerful. Maybe see if he can do some more stuff with that.
Shy eats a bit of a chunk there, but... Gala and Mako said, well, we don't care that much about matching the Kais. We'd rather just shove into the Sion. In fairness, early on, the Zyra and Nico certainly have enough tools to keep the Sion accountable there. And with all the roots and various abilities, you can certainly threaten as Monkey. Still looking for a little invade. I'm not sure whether he's looking for a dive as yet.
Well, he has some wards down here. He's just being on call, right? JJ will walk up towards the top side, spot out a ward. He's not really safe to go towards this. There is actually potential of... No, someone flashing forwards, but of course with the... Hang on, are we going to get a smite through from this? Q through to steal it.
Shove. Came on down, but it looks like JJ secured that one. Rune prison onto Monkey. Eviscerate forwards. JJ uses the call of the Plague Captors. Now the call of the Forge. Got lots of people being called. And unfortunately, I don't know whether JJ...
He didn't have vision.
IG have enough to follow up on that.
He could have ulted through. He uses W to actually get the pack out for more damage. But still, JJ claims his own blue buff. It's, disengaged through. I think the Shy on good call, good... response time there. W trying to make, again, one of their early game plays that can get them ahead of the game, but they're not really in position to do that. The lane's responding well from IG, and part of that's just because they're responding well to JJ. He's also playing well enough to not get caught out too easily.
A little bit early on that Bellows Breath there, but the Shy still gets a decent brittle proc at least. Decimating Smash traded on through for that. Now we get the time combat. Actually, go for the all-in now. Remember, the Shy doesn't have the ultimate, does have the flash. Maybe has to burn it here shortly. Seismic Shove. Sorry, not Seismic Shove. Searing Charge is the name of that one. away, and the flash too. Nice earn there by Cube.
So Cube has no ultimate. I mean, that being said, both junglers, both top lanes are out of the fight here. JJ still has his ult, has the W. Needs to be careful of the Vampire also. W does stop the combo, though.
Ghost coming down from Rookie, as does the Weaver's Wall. JJ gets healed, needs to jump away. Hound's Pursuit not enough as Taeyun finds a good angle and is now room prisoned up. Will not be able to pass go.
Bad flash.
Rookie fails the flash. It is indeed very poor. And 2 members die from Invictus Gaming.
Not really sure what the plan was there. Mako needed to be closer, as did Gala. It's going to be 2 kills over. That being said, they can't stick around and take the grubs. They invest a lot themselves. So W get the gold, which of course we're worried about here from IG. We did say the W, the early games are pretty good. They don't get the objectives that they were looking for.
Taeyun gets a kill, which helps even up what was a pretty rough lane discrepancy.
And he has the cull.
And he's got the cull, yeah.
Because earlier you were saying, hey, it's pretty bad that he's come out of base with the cull versus the core field. Well, I mean, if you get to go it even like that, and then the cull comes in,
yeah.
No, it's not actually. JJ comes through, has the level 6. I think he goes too early. The W is fine, but he disrespects the globals coming through, which is what a lot of W have put themselves together for. And then Rookie, I mean, buddy, you can't fail flash like this. Flat doesn't flash out of the combo. I think he would have lived there too because he had the ghost running. Bad mechanical mistake. Grubs are going to go towards WE now, despite the fact that they had to back off at the first take of them. That being said, JJ can come over, maybe look for a fight.
As can Rookie. They are now in here, looking for the Tangle Bobs, land them onto the Jarvan. He does manage to smite to claim that last grub before EQing out, so nice attempt to get that second grub.
Yeah, so it's only the second grub, not the last one that was just claimed out by JJ. That's a 2 for 1 in terms of the objectives. Kind of flash over the wall, Rookie hit.
Nice dredge line for the seismic shove, nowhere for the Rise to go, and that will be a death onto the mid lane.
Nice play, really good hex flash over the wall, and this is the worry that I have for IG versus WE. They are not a disciplined team. They do walk up into Fog of War a little bit too much sometimes. They give up early kills. WE, they're very active on the map and they understand how they can respond in time. Plays like this are what is going to give WE a good fighting chance versus IG, despite the fact that I think mechanically they're a little bit outmatched.
The Kai'Sa now right back in this game. 2 kills behind a bit of CS, sure, but the Cull yet to cash in. That second kill is big. They get plates afterwards. Taeyun actually has a pretty decent gold lead for this point in the game. Feeling very happy now on this Kai'Sa.
JJ going towards that bot scuttle. Now to clear that one up. I expected more from him on the Nymaera a little bit early on too. Not really liking the way that he approached that grubs fight just beforehand. So now we have 2,000 gold lead, thereabouts for WE. Taeyun ahead, as you were saying. And I think has been the major carry for WE. This guy's been really, really good at playing from ahead of the game on stuff like the Ezreal, the Kai'Sa particularly. And W have gold in his pockets now. Rookie will go to a side lane. Does have the Catalyst, so he has himself some, HP to work with. But IG, they shouldn't have found themselves in this position. This was the way that I thought, this is the way I was afraid for IG, where actually they are quite disrespectful. They do give up some kills around these early objectives and they get out-skirmished a little bit. Even though mechanically they can outplay you, their strategy and their approach to them isn't always great.
Taeyun on any champion with the ability to dash or reposition feels like a genuine threat. The Ezreals and Kai'Sas in those mid and late game team fights have been consistently terrifying for WE. And they were still struggling to get a series win together. It's that one tight game he ever got in Ezreal. It felt like that one was winnable. The Kai'Sa is joining that crew quite happily. Nice little volcanic rupture into Searing Charge combo, but Cube still largely getting the shove on in here. Just managed to pick up about a 20 CS discrepancy there, so feeling pretty good in that tank v tank matchup.
Gala first item. Shiv for the Kai'Sa, which is better for shove and roam. A little worse for the actual fighting potential compared to a Kraken Slayer. Monkey has flash, has ult, could potentially force flash out of Gala. Clone's doing well to work with that. Dragon started. Is there going to be contest? Karras had a really good off angle to wall across the team, potentially force some flashes and get terrain in their advantage.
Rookie has spotted out that. He goes in with the Flag and Dragon, just steals it. Monkey being an absolute menace. Throws down the Cataclysm, doesn't get that much value. Gala still holding on to his ult in this Feather Caller. Gets it onto the Scion now as well as Cube in danger. On the other side, the Hound's Pursuit. Looking for the kill, but he's murdered before he can get any value. Mako death charge over the wall. The Shine to the back of the line. Trying to find something here in a 1v5. Decimated Smash gets on down and it interrupts the Pop Blossom angle. So Mako doesn't get as much value as having either as Gala. Trying to get the kill onto Taeyun. Does get it. Barrier comes on down. Karras throwing out threaded volleys. Means surely that Kai'Sa dies as well. Or the Xayah dies. Well, flashes on out surely to safety. We'll have that coming up very soon. and that'll be fine for now. It ends up being a really messy fight.
Monkey, hero of that play, gets the steal, does kind of cuck his own top laner with the Cataclysm stopping the Sion ult coming through. But WE, the early game which we praised them for, coming out tops here against IG, who are misjudging their approaches and their mechanical play in these fights. JJ thinks, oh, I can jump over the wall, kill off the Sion. No, you can't. The way that JJ, well, of course, you know, right here gets it stolen out in front of him. He gets some decent damage here. What he tries to do after this point is, you know, try and get the most onto Q. He thinks, okay, if I follow him with the ultimate, surely he'll die. He just doesn't understand how far he's going away from his team. This is a big mistake. It does get close, but I don't think in any case here, even if he gets the kill, he gets out. I think it's a big mistake. After this, great ultimate from Vampire stops the Shy from recasting his ult, and Mako, flash early. Flash early. You see that Q coming through, or flash over the wall. Mako, his Nico has not been that great. And big mistake there to put W again ahead in the game. At least Gala managed to pick up a kill to spare some limited blushes.
Nicely done from WE, and a lot of the big plays from IG stuffed on arrival. Good stuff there from Monkey to interrupt. Good stuff from Cube to get out, and JJ asking where his W cooldown was, I think, as he went over that wall. And
well, it doesn't matter because he would have got stopped by the Q anyway.
Yeah.
You just have to... You can't play like that on the Nico. You can't just walk into the Sion Q. Nico, you got to do better than that. A player which we've seen fall behind in a number of games at this point. Now suddenly, rookie, 0-3. He's been really traded well on by Karis. You have 2-0-4 on the Jarvan, who's ahead of the Neferi, who I think JJ has misjudged both of the early fights he's been involved in this game. WE, they are on the same page in these fights more than IG. And that's a big problem for IG. This has been a consistent issue for them.
2,500 gold lead. Gala goes up into the Evan, but no flash available. Gets a decent route, but it's 4v1 and no one's taking any reasonable tower aggro. He's dead. That turret's gone as well.
So your support's not nearby. You don't have flash and there's too much fog of war. Why you stood there? Again, WE playing the map well, but IG disrespectful. They've done this time after time. They can't afford to give up all of these random kills. It's killing your comeback potential.
And on the other side, like, if you want to hold on to that turret, then have someone else nearby. Like, if you don't want to give that up, then you can't do both. Vampire now potentially in danger, though, but doesn't enough decides to have the flash anyway, so won't full send it will Invictus Gaming.
Herald is up and available. 4,000 gold lead to WE.
Yeah.
This is a hard game to come back now from IG. You are low range in your carries of the Ryze and the Xayah. The Xayah is not good into the Jarvan, which... You know, it's something that you called out before, saying, okay, Jarvan, does he get through the zone control? He can with this kind of gold lead, and the Jarvan can really deal with that. Xayah, flash onto the Nico clone, Vampire.
Unfortunate, the Shy will involve some of that damage, but the Shy still dies nonetheless. Pop Blossom, though, after the room wall. Can't people in place, room prison, there we go. I'm getting mated by that one. Scarlet now in danger, gets ulted on by Taeyun, who does bang in to jump on forwards. The killer instinct is just that. Mako gets another route alongside that room prison. Can't quite kill off Monkey, though, who managed to get the martial cadence. Taeyun! As Taeyun continues to just pop off on the back of it all. That Kaiser knows exactly how to be truly lethal.
Vampire struggles in the fight, but his bot lane pairing picks up the pieces. 6-1 and 4. They have the gold now to make mistakes. Potentially, Rookie needs to flash out of a combo here too, and does. Karis really has his number in this one. WE walk away. I mean, the Herald doesn't even die. There has to be a teleport under the tower from the Shy, which will save this wave at least. But IG, now not even 4k behind. They're behind 6k from that fight.
Another fight that goes incredibly poorly. We have to have our eyes on Taeyun because he uses everything in his kit to just keep getting kills. Gala gets wrecked by him, and it gets worse from there.
Yeah. So at the start of the fight isn't good from Vampire. He puts the ult onto Mako, who doesn't care. And then after this, he gets rooted into the play. I think the Shy, you know, a little too far from his team. But the problem is now you're just you're behind too much gold. You're behind too much gold. He should have stayed further back and gone for his ult instead, I think, at this point, at this kind of gold margin. And I also think that right here, JJ probably should have gone in for an ult onto Taeyun to see if he can clean that up. Try and save your AD carry. Back into the fight around the Herald. Clone tanks up the hook. Vampire missing that one.
Rookie being jumped on alongside JJ, but I don't know how much Monkey enjoys that. In goes the Sion.
Oh,
Cube! The unstoppable onslaught is just that. The only thing that's stopping is the faces of IG, and they hate it. Gala pulls the feathers back, but Rookie now going to have to try and realm warp out to safety. And does so. IG actually get out with all their members alive for now, as Herald has gone on a journey. Why is he there?
Because it's been aggroed by some... I guess it was... I mean, hang on a second. Is it dead? Was it summoned? It was summoned. This is the summoned Herald. That's why. It's aggroing onto JJ. Okay. Right. Not sure about that one, guys. It's going back towards top lane. It was summoned midway through the fight, I think.
It must have been. That is the weirdest thing I've seen in a little while. Just really, really hates dogs. It's a cat lover. Meow.
Must be a cat person. Tao's gonna die anyway. Loses most of his HP. This is actually a denial of the Herald, weirdly, by IG. The thing is, again, it's not actually a clean fight by WE. I think this one and the last one were not that clean by WE, but they're ahead by enough that it doesn't matter at this point. You know, in this fight, again, not the cleanest engages coming through from WE. Cube gets a great ult coming down, but it's not as explosive as it should be. IG, I think I actually mechanically played that, I guess, a little better, but they don't have the gold for it to matter now. They're now behind 7,000 gold.
And it's in, like, really horrifying locations. Like, the Kai'Sa, despite, as we said, being down early on, 20 CS, rough laning start because of Vampire not being there for the level 2 and then missing some of that early wave experience, is now up 2,500 gold. Has 2 items, has cashed in the cull. It's not getting easier from there. It's not exactly Kai'Sa scales poorly, guys.
So as we come through to the next part of it, IG, I mean, this is about comeback potential now, but they're in a 5v5 where, you know, the thesis, or rather like the postulation that Jarvan will suck into the area control, I don't think that's true with this gold lead now. I think in another game, it would have been that case. It's not the case now. I think that the Shy can't buy enough space. He's not tanky enough to survive in the front line. And the damage from IG is getting blown up by Taeyoon. The Shy is going to go down towards the bot side turret. He has ult in 5 seconds. He will die in a 1v2 here, actually. I think that Monkey has the damage now. You'll see them walking behind the turret. Can he say it, stop it away from them? No. Doesn't press the W either.
Holding on to it for a second or two. Throws out a volcanic rupture. There comes the Bellows breath. He will be searing charge shortly, so should be able to walk away at least.
Okay, alright. So it doesn't choose to die for the turret. And W take the turret and just ignore him afterwards. That's fine. Rookie pushing up top side. 1.5k behind. W again, not unhappy with things. They have 2 dragons as well. I suppose with a Chemtech, I think IG might just stall and say, right, let's go hyper late game. Let's go hyper late game, get the items that we can, and hope that, you know, a soul won't solve things.
I'm going to put this out there. I know that obviously recently Mako had that very poor Blitzcrank game, and that kind of had people shaking their heads, and there was been 1 or 2 Rakan games where outs like between big plays when he's roaming and putting vision down, he's been caught off a bit too easily. I'm going to put this out there that I think Rookie has been by far the least consistent member of IG. He's had some really poor games this split.
I'll agree that he's not been consistent, but I don't think there's any way you can say that with good faith with the Shy and Regeko on your team. I'm sorry.
The highs have been higher from both of them compared to Rookie this split. I think I've seen a lot of very quiet games, a lot of quite poor games.
I mean, I've been liking Rookie's Talir, and I think that his occasional Ari game has been good too. I mean, yeah, his highs definitely have been as high. I'll agree with that one, but in terms of the actual consistency itself, that one I still draw issue with. But an interesting conversation nonetheless. Monkey is going to walk into Jeddah. Jeddah doesn't have the E now. Just hit the Q onto him. Monkey could jump over the wall. Doesn't judge that one right.
Going forward, Eviscerates over the wall, looks for those Darkened Daggers, can't quite find it. Atachan now being threatened by WE.
Vampire caught out a little bit, does have that flash. Atachan, not forced to use it. Horn does have teleport. Have to walk down. Do they give up the Atachan? I think IG, you are too far behind. You don't have the item marks to fight right now. Maybe Atachan Shred is enough. Cube would have a really good engage angle, and he's going for it.
You see him coming. It's going to be blocked by the clone. Nice enough angle. Cube now in a potential threat as he gets rooted in place a couple different times. Rookie going to have to try and roam more bound. Gets interrupted. He's dead. There's no way out. Gets another Rune Prison down, but it won't mean all that much. Mako going to get hit by the depth charge. In goes the Shy, but to what end? There comes a Dredgestein. He dies. Cataclysm after. Pop Blossom is good, but there's still no damage. Garland's thrown out every feather in the world, and they are about as dangerous as them. There are no knives to be found in there. And instead he dies. He wishes he was a Skarmory right now.
Why did IG choose to fight? They didn't have the items, didn't have the gold, and Cube slams home the door. Yes, his engage is blocked by the clone, but he's in the right position. They'll get themselves the Atachan. And WE, they've had much better choice of fights in this early game. Hang on one second. Wait, did the tower die? Oh, the tower died. I thought the tower was still alive. I was like, why are you recalling under the turret? You're going to die then, buddy. Anyway, so, Cube, great engage angle. Comes through from the side here. Yes, gets blocked by the clone, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. JJ presses the W, doesn't take the damage from that. But it splits up the team. Rookie not in the right place. Rookie makes a mistake here. Should have flashed back in instead of waiting around for the knockup. You could have flashed beside around the Jarvan. Misplaying that. He's had a pretty bad mechanical game, as we said. Failed flash over the wall. Not getting out with his ult much of the time. And Gala, yeah, gets decent auto attack uptime. Just doesn't have the damage. Also, why aren't you attacking Taeyun there? Of all things, why are you attacking the beefy members which can't carry the fight instead of trying to get a shutdown or something onto that Kai'Sa? He's been ripping apart your team.
Get that you hit multiple people with the feathers burning through everyone, but it just feels like a bit of a doomed affair there. Rookie's finally got a second item, and that's great news, but we very rarely see statistical weighting that heavily to one team. 71% on stats alone. And again, I think that's being under-generous.
Under-generous? Is that a word?
It is now.
It is a word. Neologism. That one is actually a word, by the way. We invented a new one. IG, I think their choice of fights has been poor. W, their choice of fights has been much better. And they're so far ahead now that it doesn't matter. Yeah, like I was saying, some of those earlier game fights, after they got the lead, the fights weren't actually that clean. It doesn't matter, though, because they had the goal to make mistakes. Now they are actually playing the fights cleanly, and they have the gold lead. IG giving them the time of day to look for those fights.
Alex, you know the issue with this statement, and that's that it's IG. Every fight is a good fight. They're always going to take the fight. They will never say no to a fight, and it's been such a problem.
JJ walking onto Cube, does have that Black Cleaver to do a little bit of damage. I'm not sure he wins the 1v1 completely. Does stack up that Conqueror, though.
Doesn't necessarily do that as Rookie forced to flash from the dredge line there. Vampire been a bit heat-seeking with those today. The exception of that one slightly fumbled play onto Mako. Has largely found some good angles. Gala, tag with W. And then they find a cataclysm double seismic shove onto the clone plus real Mako. And so the Nico is dead to right. The Shy now going to try and summon the Forge God. Has he managed to find a reactivation yet this game?
Great shove.
No, he has not. Another wonderful shove. Gala tries alongside JJ to get some damage down, but it's just too little. It's just too late. And WE have manhandled Invictus Gaming.
IG just keep buying into fights. They can't win. They just have to fight. You can't stop them. WE, much better early game, much better playmaking, and much better punishing of these players out of position.
I ain't hear no bell, says Invictus Gaming, but that's because they've been deafened, concussed by the repeated blows to the head from WE, once known as World Elite. Now it's just we versus them, and they absolutely mash Invictus Gaming.
First game going to WE. There are some worries about IG in the first game of the day. They will have to bounce back from this one.
All right, then.
Yeah, I think you now have an immobile set of 3 carries into Ambessa with Leona Trundle putting them out of position. I actually almost wonder whether Silas would have been better for Rookie at that point.
Yeah,
or
Steel too. Yeah.
Or even something like the Ahri at that point. I guess Ahri struggles into Victor in the individual laning phase. So, IG, lots of damage, quite hard to play it. WE, easy tools to pick someone out of position. If it's Trundle Pillar into Grab Field or into Solar Flare or something like that, I think that becomes really, really deadly. This Trundle is a bit of a kingmaker here, actually. I think that if Trundle lands a good pillar, everything else follows up very hard. So IG, much like last game, cannot afford to be randomly throwing fights because they think they're just better than WE, because obviously, well, bluntly, they weren't in that first game. They were embarrassed. W were much better.
Reject analysis. Return to Monkey Jungle. That's what we will do. He's been so good in this jungle. Replacing Sorrow. I just wanted to make the pun. I didn't really have anywhere to go with this. I just thought this was going to make me smile, and it did. So don't have High Noon Leona to go alongside the High Noon Rel and High Noon Victor. That is clearly a crime. And I can only apologize, folks, as we head onto the rift, and let's let the crowds yell. Like that. The WE fans in a lot more force now after game 1, and they can't blame them. It was a great game from them. IG, though, looking for the invade, won't find Vampire, who managed to dodge both skill shots.
They at least see him with the balls. They find him there at the level.
No, I meant with the skill shots.
Ah, when you said they won't find him, they clearly still see him.
with the skill shots. I was
It's
finishing
like,
the sentence.
where's Vampire? He's there.
I was finishing the sentence with the skill shots go wide.
The half breath there, Sam, made it confusing, Sam. It confuses. Sam used confusion.
Just confusing myself at this point.
So, single Q landed onto Mako, doesn't land onto Gala though. A couple of the arrows would have been nice to... Hang on a second, is Vampire going to be standing in front? They do have the potential flick back of Mako on the mount up instead of the crash down now. I was going to look towards Okay, Comet Poke comes in. Both looking towards some harder trades a little earlier on. Taeyeon trying to get a little bit of chip damage here and there. Auto attack here. Q damage there.
Early wave control earned by Karis, threatening with, I'm assuming Siphon Power often is the level 1 start.
You can see it leveled up in that Q. Yeah, you can see it on the bottom left.
There you go.
As Rookie was waiting for his Q cooldown. Trying to make sure that Karis has to make a choice between attacking him and the wave. Backed off on the wave because he realized, look, I'm not going to lose a minion. Let's not take the skill for free. But yeah, Karis doing very good early game trading. Using that E and that Q. Rookie having to blow an early pot.
Ran into a few Victor mains when the rework came on through, and part of what made the Victor feel so oppressive was those early levels with the Q poke has gotten so strong. I know it's been changed a little bit since then, but even so, pretty potent. Monkey on the level 3 potential look top side. That ward in, they know exactly where he is, and he's not expecting this one. Jace gets the early shove, but it means he's quite punishable. The flash on down, but the slow's already there. Flash on forwards for that big old chomp, and he can't get one back. Nice pickup early on.
Why flash? You know, why flash? The wave is pushing in as well, losing more CS. Cube can teleport back for more farm, and the Shy making an early mistake. This is really important. IG, you need to be disciplined. WE, they're a team that you should be beating, especially on paper. Yes, WN from W6 to 0 and 6 to 5 and 6. But this is a team which you should be stronger than on paper. Game 1 was an embarrassment. Let's make sure the second game isn't that too. Great gank from Monkey early on, knowing that the Shy makes those early mistakes.
And it does feel like we've seen a lot less of these 3-cank gamp kinds of plays over the last year. Honestly, at this point, it's felt like it's been too easy to punish, get invaded on the other side, lose too many counts, lose too much tempo. And I think a lot of laners have gotten a little bit lax in terms of being aware you can do that on things like the Trundle, and it comes back to punish them. Karis going down towards the other side of the river where his Trundle is on the Scuttle Crab. I think that might have been a spectator, but JJ now coming to wrap around, gets aside from power, looking for the win, becomes like he misses it, so won't have the extended Audacious charge range, and
he's just helping push in the wave. He's looking to push in mid. Trundle, the thing with going with an early gank like that is often you fall behind in clear speed, but Monkey still gets the bot Scuttle. He still goes towards his own camp, so that's not even going to be the case in this jungle matchup. Monkey went back for double longsword as well, so good early stats for him. Jed's going back, gets the working parts of a tunneler. But Monkey, he's been going from strength to strength, and he's playing very well recently.
He'll be able to go and just reverse clear now and keep playing towards this top side. Gets the Raptors on spawn. We'll have Krugs there shortly after. It's a very clean clear from Monkey in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, because now he can just go top lane whenever he wants. And IG did not have the early vision. That's Vampire going quite deep in, actually.
Crash down from Mako the other way. Not a crash out, as we may see a little later on. Someone's calling him BB Nos or some equivalent on camera.
That's great, Sam. I'm happy for you. Monkey, yeah, as you said, potentially going towards top side. Doesn't have the flash. The pillar's going to go into the right direction for him. The Shy does get a knockback, and this time will escape, luckily.
Nice thundering blow. That keeps himself alive.
Move speed from changing the form. Acceleration gate as well. Of course, makes the Shy quite hard to take out in some of these situations.
Still another look in, and it's not really wasting much time from Monkey. He might look back again, but there's this ward here that's spotted him out twice. Just going to get the wave shoved, I'm assuming. Maybe even look to dive this.
Yeah, I think they can. You know, there's no teleport on one side. The wave's really heavy, so the Shy losing out on XP and mana, trying to get in range for a pillar maybe. Monkey realizing, look, I can be a gremlin. Trundle, one of the original gremlin junglers, which you get, you know, level 3, level 4 red buff. You walk up and make your laners just that much more obnoxious. Another full wave going to come in. And IG, they have not dealt with this Trundle well. They have not put down the wards to deal with it. Jeje is going to be ahead camps. This will be a jungle advantage in terms of XP coming through potentially from Jeje. He's a little bit ahead, but it's not by that much. He's one camp ahead. That's it.
And on the way out, Monkey nabbed his Grom. And he's still got his Krogs to pick up. So, yeah, his camps were slightly weird timers, but I think Monkey is pretty happy with it. In fact, after he clears out this Krog camp, he'll be on even camps.
IG kind of scrambling to play catch-up now too. You know, they've done a little bit in the bot lane matchup, 10 CS lead, that's fine. But we saw that didn't matter in the first game. You know, that Gala and Maker got ahead in that early 2v2, Taeyeon and Vampire not playing the level 1 particularly well in the invade.
He's top again.
He is, and he's going through the lane bush this time. The Shy is going to have Jeje with flash on top side, so I don't think they actually want to overforce this time, even with Cube having level 6. I think that's potentially asking for Xin Zhao to clean up the rest of the kills.
Goes back home, buys a phase and an extra longsword. converts one of those long swords into the big hammer, of course. Trundle comes right back out on the map, and you guess where he's going.
He's going back towards top side, maybe going towards red buff actually on the respawn.
Yes.
Now the thing is, the Shy could actually keep Cube under tower, and they could go in towards contest on that red buff. Shy behind in the individual match. He's gone for the cull, by the way. So he wants to catch up a little bit more gold. Cube taking a hard trade, but getting hypercharged back onto. Still, Cube taking some good damage there. No one's sticking around for the red buff contest on top side. Instead, it's a recall. The tunnel up and a bit of gold for JJ. I wonder whether they could have gone for something on that top side into the Trundle's jungle.
Yeah, couldn't find it, and that reset doesn't really lead to all that much there from Mako on the run. We got Grub spawning about 30 seconds. First dragon was taken by IG, so there is at least a little bit of something on the cross map, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. But still, an interesting game state. Early cull here from the Shy. We'll have his flash coming back up shortly. Again, it's a fake spectator bug. You get this kind of little black square just before the flash timer is actually due to come back up.
Gala delayed from going towards their mid lane wave. Now, the bonus of JJ not going towards anything on top side is he gets to recall and go through all of his camps, get towards that top side for the Grub spawn, potentially. As well, going to take a little bit of HP off of Mako, even through the bone plating. Monkey going to be seen on a ward there. Was that spotted? I guess it was. Vampire will go towards that now. Going to quickly rush down that first Grub. Trundle pretty good at them killing that first one. Shy trying to get that melee grass proc onto Cube. Does actually trade back well there, at least.
It's worth noting, as you pointed out, that it is indeed the grasp on the Shy. Towards that ability to manage some of those tank matchups or those bruiser matchups a little bit easier.
Cube has the level 6. Again, quite powerful in this Ambassador. Could get into the melee range very nastily. That's the pillar.
That valuable. I saw what the attempt was there. Delays Mako for a second or two. But this should just be grubs over to W, sorry. As IG came in and kind of played Safari a little bit. Turned and went, yep, no, don't want that.
Hey, well, at least IG didn't buy into a fight around this and die like they did the last time. I mean, credit to them. You know? I think IG, one of the biggest problems about them is learning when not to fight. And that was a problem for them very heavily in that game 1. Gold is, you know, even-ish through that early game. Varus getting a bit ahead of the Ezreal through, I guess it's just CS on that boss side. About 15 CS up. JJ falling behind a little bit in jungle, but again, just like a camp ahead. So, could be worse, I guess. Slim pickings, isn't it? As the Shy does have his flash back up, and he might get blown again pretty quickly.
Here we go again.
We'll have to flash out of an Ambassador ult.
There's that flash.
The pillar into it. The acceleration gate flash. At least it's buying Monkey's time. The fact that the Shy has only died once, actually quite impressive here.
He's done a decent job of buying that, and of course, clearly setting Cube up for success, who, honestly, was not my first take on carries for WE in general.
That's a problem. Right. Going in towards JJ level 6 on the shins out.
Yeah, but so is Monkey, who begins to subjugate them. Flash on forward for the chomp. JJ goes down. They've not gotten the kills back. Solar Flare down. Onto the Shy. No flash on the Jace, who thundering blows into nowhere. The True Shot Barrage sends off a little bit of unnecessary support from Taeyu.
If that was one item on JJ, I think they win that. But they don't have the Sundered Sky, and you're absolutely right. The Trundle ult, it comes up absolutely tops there. 3 kills for Monkey, the hero of WE. Gets a Triforce now on that back, and IG once again choose a poor early fight.
There's no TP on the Shy either, so I wonder whether Rookie's going to have to come up here, and I actually checked the minimap after I say that, and there he is on the roam up. Let's have a look again.
So initially they jump onto Mako, and I thought, well, they don't see the Shin Zhao coming in. The problem is 3 melee champions into the Shin Zhao, and I think that JJ makes a mistake sticking around and not really using his flash particularly well. In fact, he doesn't flash at all. I wonder whether he could just flash out. Potentially a mistake. The Shy gunned down as well. Everyone buys in because they think they can win the fight. Misuse their summoners. Now they're down 1,000 gold.
Yeah, and a lot of that is going to be in things like this Trundle with this Trinity Force, which gets very scary. As you said, a lot of the engaged tools for IG are mitigated by Trundle Pillar. You go in as the Shins out behind the curve, you're going to have a pretty rough time there potentially into this Trundle. Unless you've got the Shockwave and all these other things to try and make that work, but I would still be very nervous if this Trundle getting an early lead.
Yeah, I think another big thing is just that the Pillar, you're just sticking one of these melee champions further into the fight, into the meat grinder. Monkey doesn't have the ult up again right now, but then again, JJ does, so he'll have that up.
Do they want this WE debating it? Public execution available. Solar Flare lands, but not really that viable. To Gala, though! The public execution after the shockwave tries to keep him alive, and he just gets the flash over the wall. Wonderful from Gala as Cube dies too. Defensive play there from the mid and bot lane to keep their AD carry alive, and now the counter punch begins. A mount up will bring Monkey down, and Rookie gets the shutdown.
The shutdown as WE don't find themselves the clean fight. They get onto Gala, but the shockwave is there to peel. Rookie saves Gala, and the dragon goes the way of IG. Much better fight that time, and WE couldn't make it about the meat grinder trundle melee fight. They dive onto the backline, but they don't find what they're looking for. Again, maybe if they'd had the one item, they would have just one-shot Gala. Not the case now, and Karis jumps on, has the flash though.
Have that gravity field, gets knocked up briefly by that 3 talent strike, turning around on JJ briefly there, and with Vampire hiding off vision with a blast cone to work with, could have been a bit scary. Neiko's here too, we'll spot out JJ resetting. That brings the gold lead into IG's favour. Wonderful stuff there from Gala to get out of that. Great turnaround from Rookie as well. You can't really ask for much better disengage for the Varus.
Yeah, I think, look, the thought to dive onto the Varus is a good one, because that's one of your primary targets. Feels like the guy with a lot of early game damage. He had cleanse and flash, so going that deep and putting yourself into death's kind of mouth there at that point is a big problem. So IG even up the gold. They were 1,000 gold behind. They managed to claw that back, and this is a problem. W are used to winning these early fights. Now they lose one, we have to see how they react.
Gold lead for this Varus. Still, of course, a decent lead towards the trunk, but everywhere else now is pretty much evened up. That is good news for IG, because they were in danger of having the Game 1 experience happen to them again.
That's a lot of damage for a level... that's a lot of damage for an early game Varus. I guess you've just maxed out your Q, but... Damn.
Early Ghost Blade as well, I suppose. That's a pretty good spike.
Yeah. Rookie as well. Played really well on the Orianna in that fight. Saying, look, I'm just going to put the ball on top of Varus. Like, that's your peel. Like, the shockwave is going to go on to the people that jump onto you. Cube and Vampire got a bit blown up there in that fight. So Gala, thankful to his mid laner. Now, what's the next big plays coming around? We have Herald up in 1 minute and 20. Of course, W have the 3 grubs. They're quicker at taking towers. Rookie doing quite well at using, you know, his bowling ball, not bowling ball, the wrecking ball style of play, which he was very famous for on Orianna back in the day, all the way since Season 4, Season 5.
Plan steps on forwards. I still remember Rookie versus Faker in the Orianna Yasuo matchup way back in LCK, one of my favourite 1v1s of all time, that
was, back when, back when Faker was not very good at Yasuo. It's never really been his champion, actually. The Shy getting a lot of people moving towards it, but it has the acceleration gate and the form change to keep himself relatively safe. Three grubs will make sure this will be the first tower taken down. That'll be feat to strength for W. Trundle very good at killing towers.
He may not be a top laner, but his ability to turn up with your top laner somewhere and just whack at a turret a few times with his big old bonk. And of course they did change it so we can chomp towers. It does help him with that ability to
every so often they would change Trundle to be like, Chomp is now available on towers. Chomp is no longer available on towers, just to balance him, because it was really powerful having that or not. That was a lever to say, look, you're either going to get this or not. And if you can, it's really broken.
He gets to bonk it quite a lot. Bonk and chomp. He feels like certain categories of Elden Ring players, you know?
The Zug Zug. Gongaga. Gongaga. My favorite. Taeyon has both the summoners available there, so we can play a little bit more aggressively in the mid lane. Gala doesn't have flash, does have cleanse, so if Vampire lands an ult onto him, he needs to flash out. Well, he won't be able to just yet. Herald is alive. First item available for Jet. Makes him a little bit more tanky. Trundle Pill is used. Xenoblade misses.
I wonder whether the Chains of Corruption might get popped. Will do, as Vampire forced to flash away, but that means that ultimate now down, turning around potentially onto JJ. That command attack distance, though, Chunk's Monkey pretty low. He's not that tanky yet, remember. His tankiness comes from Subjugate, from healing.
Okay.
Defensive items is yet really.
So Mako's pretty low. You gotta be careful, Mako. They don't have the Ezreal to finish him off. There should be big Herald advantage now. No Solar Flare. Vampire could go for Blast Cone over. Rookie recognizes the threat, backs off. The W are chunking down the objective. The Shy's taking the bot lane turret, though, so it's not for nothing. Oh, hang on. Hex Flash over. There's Merc Treads on Rookie. This might not lead to what they want.
Good sidestep, public execution still lands, show of the daybreak afterwards, the shockwave will buy some time, Rookie trying to speed rush his way away with the phase rush. Monkey now over, drops down the Herald, and Taeyun donated the kill. Nice collapse from WE, and dropped the Herald immediately to keep up the pressure.
So, that's a bit of a waste of a Herald on the top turret, by the way. They could have killed that without it. On the other side, you know, the Shy does take the turret. Can they get... The Herald does less damage on subsequent charges now, so they should do less damage, less than half the HP, which it does. So W do get themselves a turret and a kill. Solo turret, though, for the Shy on the other side of the map, which means that the gold is not that different, all things said and done. Tane does have the empowered recall from just assisting in the Herald kill. Still, good map movement from W to at least get that kill. I don't think Rookie was fully accepting that, but at least he didn't blow that flash.
Ends up face checking. Karis forced to cleanse. Out comes the Arcane Storm. Season 2, watch it. I still haven't watched the last 3 episodes in a while.
You still haven't watched it?
I have, still all of it.
Ezreal, don't think it's on. Hang on, it would kill. Close run stuff. Gala makes it out alive. Dragon is now spawning though, and Gala doesn't have the HP to play around it. Remember, WE, the big reason that they lost that last Dragon fight was Varus being Varus. It means that IG lose their earliest opportunity to get towards that 3rd Dragon, Soul Point. The Shy been given a lot of side lane gold. So, while all this is happening, the dopamine is to WE getting the kills right now. I actually think the substance is the Shy going towards the Lethality Jace, getting a shit ton of gold in side lanes. He gets himself the bot lane out to the top lane out. I think the Shy's pretty happy with that. Ghostblade is giving him a lot of safety as well to walk away from the incoming plays. So the Shy getting, a cull cashed in, 2 side lane out of turrets. The Shy has the gold to be a poke menace now, alongside the Varus.
Gold ahead. Well, remember how the early game went as well? This is a solid recovery from when he's cashed in the colours you mentioned. Those turrets are coming in, and it's been the moment the pressure on him stopped, he just got to do this.
Also worth noting that Cube dropping a lot of CS. Look, WE are putting 4 people on the same screen, and that helps them get kills, but it does mean that they're losing a wave somewhere. They've lost a couple of waves now across the map. Now, there's not a single... Well, okay, mid lane has a bit of a gold lead up towards Karis, but the top lane, being so far down, is a bit of an issue. Gala can wave clear out, Fet's fine here. I do have a lot of wave clear in general, actually. 3 wave clear Karis. Makes it harder for WE to siege down towers with their 3 grubs.
So, Dragon next spawn is in about 3.5 minutes, so not a concern right now. Atakan about 1.5 minutes, and again, not really concerned for being rushed necessarily unless the Trundle really wants to send it. But as it stands for now, it really will be about lane pressure, about trying to see how much farm you can really get and what item completions you get. You do have a kind of window where you do get to blow your cooldowns a little for free before those objectives and stuff come on through to try and find some value somewhere, somehow.
Same with double buffs. See how much... Yeah, the Shy, he's going towards the more lethality build, right? Hasn't finished up that Muramana just yet, but between Gala and the Shy, it does have some value there. Keeps taking some damage. Trying to use some cooldowns onto Rookie.
Glass comes away, gets Drakehound step pulled back in by the shockwave. JJ looking for an angle, has flashed already, went for slightly just shy in Cube. I think very wise there to blow that flash.
It is, but also, Cube doesn't have that flash now for a big flash ult follow-up or something like that. Or kind of flashing in for big damage combos. It's a big loss. Gala, happy enough to step out of that. He has the swiftness boost now. That's a big power spike here, by the way. Swiftness boost. Hang on, Monkey, he's caught out. I don't think he should be here alone.
Gets a smite and runs away really
Okay, he's
fast.
fine. All right, he's fine. I think if JJ was also there, which I didn't spot on the minimap, maybe that would have been a little dangerous. Gets himself the buff steal. Nice for him. He's, again, even in farm with JJ. Not... I mean, this is a big thing. JJ, not really been that active in the grand scheme of things. Monkey instead, getting a load of kills and also keeping up in farm. Monkey has out-jungled JJ in the first 2 games.
I completely agree. And then there was that statement about, well, where was Monkey in terms of our jungle rankings? Like, is he top 4? Is he top 5? Is that an argument you can make? And I think it's sometimes hard in the sense that, look, we've seen Monkey 3 months ago or whatever, maybe not be that. Earlier on the split, maybe not be that. But the way they're growing into being a genuinely scary AD skirmishing player in particular, with solid Skarner in the background, these are good tools right now. And Rookie has just face checked said Trundle as JJ flashes on over. Shockwave flashed away from in turn. Magnet Storm after. Subjugate still running. Karis coming on over. Gets a gravity field of the Arcane Storm. Damage onto JJ is pretty scary. TPing in. Monkey gonna have to back away. And everybody TP's in, but no one dies.
There's also like a bunch of flashes used. JJ uses his, Monkey flashes out. Vampire uses, his Ignite in that too. Atakan going low. JJ healing a little bit off of Krugs. Who's stronger when the ults are down? Vampire not a great solar flare there either.
Chains of Corruption are all right onto Vampire. Flashes in turn. It's all getting very messy, very fast. Monkey now coming on over. Vampire at about 3rd HP. IG with much better health bars. I think WE, you have to disengage here.
And now the problem is they've leashed the Atakan. Now down to lower HP. Monkey doesn't have the flash to get in. Suppose JJ doesn't have his ult. This is getting messy, folks.
That it is. Taeyun beginning to poke out a little bit here on this Ezreal. Beginning a bit of a threat. the shot
gotta
on
back
the other
off.
side, they're going to have to back off this one. I think it's still too risky.
You have to back off. There's too much poke actually from Taeyun's Ezreal. He's been landing a lot of skill shots as he typically does. The Attack can't be brought into that bot side.
Interrupt, he can.
He does. I mean, it doesn't impact
affects mid
them.
lane wave.
I mean, yes, but Varus is the one that would have gone back to do that anyway. He'll pop the Ghost Blade and he'll go back towards mid lane. Rookie doesn't have teleport to go back in towards mid lane anyway. Even if he was a little sooner to this, that recall cancel doesn't stop that. JJ's here to answer a little bit. Doesn't have his ultimate to stay completely safe though.
I think our mid lane tier 1 will now fall. Taeyun and Vampire enough threat to claim that one. WE, a little bit dicey there, but they do end up coming away with the additional prize of the tower.
They do, and that'll open up some extra options for them. Mid lane tower always a good victory to get. Dragon up in 20 seconds. No one took that out to Khan. Rookie does have flight. Rookie, you got to be a little careful here. Spots out Vampire now, though, so it should be safe. Doesn't get a spot on that one using the Wrecking Ball. And they do get control of the bot side jungle and the bot side river. Rookie trying to walk up. Again, just use that ball to get a little bit more vision.
Celestial opposition procced there on the Leona, so we can look to go and force into the river.
Okay, so neither jungler has flash. That's actually important. Great poke. That might actually just win them the fight. Remember, Gala has both summoners as well. Not easy to engage onto him. Kao's trying to poke out as well, but I think that double poke landing on Tame wins him the dragon. Soul point to IG.
Team backing quite aggressively there. Gets away with it. Vampire looking for the chance to turn around. They catch up to JJ. Remember, he already carries not here. He's back in base. That can get still a bit tricky. But not really finding all that much value with the Solar Flare. Felt a bit snatch and grab that as Monkey realizes he just can't be here.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost. He doesn't have his bot lane turret to fall back to in this case. IG wanting to move from bot lane, from Dragon rather, into bot side jungle, get some vision control, maybe set up the Atakan. They've already lost their mid lane turrets. There's nothing to lose in mid lane from that. Karis is going to start pushing that. Good old landing onto Rookie, actually. Cube doesn't have his flash yet to follow up with his ultimate. Good poke onto Taeyun. That does help.
Mako off vision. Gonna try and get towards Sadcon. It's taken for sure. That's that one. But what about a potential fight afterwards? That can get a bit more interesting. Rookie at half HP.
Rookie was doing something quite fun there, by the way. That wall does actually stop vision. Doesn't look like it should, but it stops vision. If they walked up, went into a shockwave, chances that someone would be feeling a little bit stung after that one. No Baron to answer on the top side. So IG, I think this is the kind of wrong method, right answer. They end up getting the dragon and they get the Atakan. I'm not really sure how, but they did.
Poke onto Taeyun, reset into invade, I guess.
Land the skill shots, I guess. Well, I guess that is one solution to
Just
it.
to hit your skills, nerd.
By the way, I'm really impressed with how Rookie has been helping with vision control. Just using that, using the ball, knowing that he has a decent amount of HP, Saras, Merc treads. It's not easy to lock him down unless there's like 3 people there, really. I think 2 people is not enough to kill the Orianna, especially with that flash. He's walking up with Mako, either him or Mako using that sweeper. And very successfully controlling a lot of the vision which WE are trying to use to get creative around team fights. Rookie's Orianna, jump which I do enjoy watching from a historical point of view, and helping them get that objective play there.
X away. Happy enough to have claimed that one. Lighting dual inventory for Karis. And again, there is still that looming threat of this Vector, who's not been doing all that much yet, but is up 30 CS, has 2 items completed. The upgraded Swifties in inventory. Took me a second to figure out. No, Ionian Boots, isn't it? I apologize. The name of which I never remember. Alongside a Blighting duel, like this Victor is getting to a point where he can also be a legitimate carry.
Yes, but also he hates poke. Most of the time when we see Victor, it's against teams which he outranges. If he gets hit by, Mr. Talus's shock blasts, that can be a bit of a problem. The Varus arrows as well. If they both tag onto Karis, like we saw them tag onto Taeyun a little earlier, same problem happens. Ezreal and Victor are often like poke-ish champions, but when they're against a true poke champion, like a poke Varus or the Jace, especially building lethality, they can get outmatched in that area.
Ezreal's poke is more about consistent skill shots, not that one massive one in power by a W on a Varus or the shockwave, acceleration game. That's the name of it, for the shock blast for the Shy.
So 2 items hit for everyone on the map now, including both junglers. The Shy gonna get pillared, but he's okay with that one. Worth noting, he's also gone for the Swifties. The Swifties make a big difference here because it denies a lot of the slow from the Trundle Pillar. Also gives you the bonus move speed as well. It's also kind of nice for him. He's going to stick around on bot side. Cube Maybe
Baron a consideration.
No, not right now. Jid is spotted on hit. Vampire's coming down. Blue. I think the Shy does need to be really careful here. Might need to flash quite reactively. Needs to be careful now.
There's the pillar. Can look to try and find a way out. Flash on him, but the follow
Too early.
with the public
Too early.
execution. He is too early. TP in. Oh, rookie, what have you done? It's a rookie error. Finds the shockwave. The turnaround actually from Gala. Maybe they can turn around. The turret falls. Vampire low. Does get burned now. The chains of corruption spread is brutal as the Magstorm comes on in. JJ looking for an angle, and actually they've turned it around. I take it back, rookie. You made it work. Now JJ can look to audaciously charge on forward. The Arcane Storm comes on down, but so does the Crescent Guard. Karis healing up pretty well here. Can't get a return onto the jungler, and they lose everyone but Taeyun, who wasn't there.
The Shy and Karis join each other in the grey screen as WE become Underworld Elite, or Grand Deal of everyone. Hitting the ground there, besides Taeyun. IG, great reaction. I thought that was the teleport, which would really just break the game open in favor of WE, but it's an overforce from WE. As we were saying before, WE like clumping up 4 people on the same screen, but it's too many people here, and they don't quite close things down quick enough. They use the Trundle ult, they use the double ults of both Vampire and the Ambessa. That's 3 ults. They don't have that. Suddenly do have a solar flare on Rookie's arrival. Triple shockwave comes after that. Vampire flashes forwards and, well, I mean, he's into a Merc Treads Orianna. He gets hit by the Varus ult and, well, he's overplayed it at that point. W, an overcommitment for 1 kill onto the Fed Jace without realizing quite how much they've used.
The chains of corruption spread to like 3 people. The Magnet Storm hits like 3 people. The chain of ults was there from Victor's game was really brutal. This would be solved for a Victor's game if they can claim that it just spawned.
Exactly. Taeyun caught out a little bit. Half HP now. 1 more shock blast lands onto him or something like that. And suddenly the fight, I think it's actually pretty unwinnable for WE. Do you have Karis walking around the side? No teleports for the side of WE. Don't have the best vision either. They get themselves the team blue buff. Dragon getting lower. This might come down to a smite fight, but Monkey's not here. It's just going to go down if they rush it.
Monkey's going over. He's pretty damn quick at this point. Speeds his way in. It's gone. Can't get there in time. And the Shy jumps forward onto Cube.
Oh, Vampire.
Vampire's gone. Way too deep. That was a mistake. There's no really other way to put that one. WE lose Soul and lose a member too.
IG still made to work for it in this game. No, this has not been an easy series. First game was embarrassing. This one's been a lot better. I think that you know, the vision control, the objective play been much better. Shopless last on Taeyun. Here comes Mako.
And comes the crash down. 4 members there. Turnaround's not bad for a second or 2 there, but there's just not enough burst. And JJ with his Crescent Guard rolling. Able to stay alive just fine, and Karis not willing to build the Arcane Storm.
So Soul for IG, kill the jungler, go towards the Baron. This should be like the clean sweep. You can walk over towards this objective. I'm not really sure you can fight back as WE. You do have the solar flare backup from Vampire, but you don't have a smite for the objective. Mako, no Magnet Storm, but IG should be pretty happy poking, trying to secure the objective.
Karis gets hit by an empowered shock blast, and that does a lot of work. Mako loses to the Celestial opposition. Might just look for the fight anyway. The public execution, but it's into 5. Cube does a bit of work. Shy goes down. The shockwave.
Oh, shockwave!
Rookie finds a beautiful ult again. He's hit some fantastic ones this game. A classic champion for him. Taeyun tries to outplay, but he just doesn't have enough in the tank.
The master of the Wrecking Ball, Rookie, brings home a triple kill for IG. Much better game in game 2. Often IG are a team that need to wake up a little bit in game 1. W gave them a slap to the face in that. It was not a pretty experience for IG. Looking more and more likely now that we're heading towards a 3rd and deciding game in the series. WE, a team on the other side of the rift, which we don't know where they stand just yet. Some people saying, oh, they could be top 4 at peak. We'll see where they go. I've even seen a video saying they're making it to MSI. Maybe there's a reality check left in there at some point. IG definitely not getting the better of them in game 1. They need to close out a series. This game's good for now. Can they do it a second time? Or will it be more like game 1 of the series? Pushing in with Inferno Soul. Monkey caught out again, and he's going to die.
Nowhere really to go at this point. The Trundle, tanky only within certain bounds. Bring down the with the most gold, and it has all fallen apart elsewhere right now.
So WE struggling now to hold on. Death Cap for Rookie. 3 items. Yeah. Scary Clockwork Lady. WE. This time, not able to just roll over that early gold lead. They were the ones that were out macroed, out team fought. And the Shy, now at 3.5 items too. That poke is with the God from Gala too. Jesus Christ! Taeyun too, with just a 3rd HP.
Yeah, 2 skill shots landing, powered by the Infernal Soul, and the damage is quite significant, it turns out. We are in fact going to a 6th game today. It never ends.
Roll up. to the LPL. We have infinite amount of games all of the days. Monkey running out of base. Does land a pill. Doesn't really feel like it's that impactful, though. The towers are falling flash away from the Varus ultimates. Gala landing more arrows left and right. 2 inhibitors down. Last the hit of the Baron buff. With 1 minute left of it. Might be enough to clean up these towers. 1 goes down.
Again down to a 3rd HP. Just not having fun. That solo fell well, but they do land the public execution onto Rookie, who's got a Seraphs and a Command Protect, though. So he's just really hard to bring down. Vampire goes in and is immediately staked. A little ironic considering he's the Lady of Daylight this time around. But a wonderful shockwave on the fountain sends the message, and Victor's Gaming will not take that game 1 going down quietly.
IG. Poppy would be another tank frontline. Can, again, throw that ult onto the immobile Syndra.
That's pretty solid, actually.
I think the Syndra is good into the lane against the Annie. Can also, again, you pick up the Tibbers once it's been cast, walk backwards, slam it behind you, and it teleports back to Annie and gives the W2. So you can randomly kill like that. Is this our first Syndra in LPL this split? I think it is. I think this is our...
Considering how many big Syndra enjoyers we have, I mean, it's obviously not been super popular, but you'd expect like a Knight or someone to have done it if it was being played. But if it's our first, that would be very surprising.
Syndra has been, I believe, I mean, Syndra has not been played. Syndra has not been played. This is the first game of Syndra. I feel like it's really hard to play in a mobile matchups. It's a hell of a gauntlet to throw down. I haven't seen it that much. We will revisit our compositions as we get onto the Rift. I'm still mulling over what all this means because we do have, you know, some decent lane matchups, I think, with the...
okay, no. I saw the Lulu mid on...
Doesn't really have the ability to dodge that ultimate. Syndra is very immobile as well. Let's get onto the Rift and hear our last gyros of the day.
There's production. They've got the volume. Took them a second or two there to flick the levers between the volumes for music and for the crowd mics. Both groups of fans doing a decent job there of yelling at us. Really favouring WE's draft here, interestingly, on the sort of statistical kind of prognosis. I don't know whether it's...
I don't think this takes into account the patch changes. Dogworld asking in chat, where's IG's damage? No, I think there's a fair point in there. I do think when there's no high... Well, if you're not attacking the Annie, if the Annie's not attacking the Cassante, you can one-shot most other people on there. We did see Scout play a game of it and not do that well. Need to see Rookie make the most of this. Actually starts with the E, so he can walk forwards, get the brief move speed as well, get that shield, and kind of trade out and just with shield into that first Q.
Was looking for something, doesn't as yet. And Mako here with theoretically quite an oppressive lane. Ashe already very long range, and the volley poke can get really obnoxious. Add in a help picks or two there, and you can get quite nasty. Nice double ebb and flow though. I'll give that one
the approach velocity too. W start for Taeyon, but getting a bit outspaced there actually. Again, the 2v2 for Gala and Mako has been really good. I think they've ended up winning all the 2v2s today. They won in both games. Even though they didn't translate to a win in game 1, they were ahead from it. Gala and Mako, no. One of the reasons why we were... Oh, level 2 just hit that. Just a chance of something bigger here. Going to have that picks into the double glitter lance presumably as well. There it is. Nice. Get some extra damage down. Mako. Very, very good on the Lulu. He won Worlds with a hell of a lot of Enchanter play. Again, that Molten Shield nasty. Worth noting, Molten Shield actually does do some Thorns damage on spells as well. The more damage you do, the more damage you take. Karis getting out traded in the mid lane. He picked this into this champion. That's a problem. Rookie has point and click stun. That's a problem.
Here comes the stun. Can look for it. Karis driven at, but not with long enough distance there to threaten the T1 Syndra wearing Karis.
I think that was a mistake. Rookie was about to hit level 3, had the stun charged up. I think you can flash for the, not the Incinerate, whatever the cone is in front of them. Disintegrate, that one. I think at that point it's a big problem. So Rookie, good early trading. Of course, no one uses any flashes here, but Karis not getting the lane matchup in the early stages of the game, which potentially they would have wanted.
Outside, bit of a chunk comes on down, gets the ebb and flow off Gala. Worth noting as well, Gala actually missed 3 minions in that first wave. It was slightly sad to watch.
Yep.
And does actually end up with the Lucian having
map hacks
more than they would normally, as there is indeed the map hacks, courtesy of the
Ashe Hawkshot.
Yeah, I know, Hawkshot. I remember Hawk something. I was like, what's the second part of that word? And I nearly went and did a map hacks in the terms of
good
DuckTales.
shields. Really good shields there. I guess the polymorph bag doesn't get to do much. It's barrier for heal, all things said and done. Gala and Mako again, trading very hard in the lane. I think this time Vampire and Taeyon get a little bit better of that trade. Monkey could go for a flash in the bot side if he gets 3, but there is a ward in the middle brush. Monkey knows about it though, because his team pinged it when it was put down.
I have an idea about this one, Monkey, on the... whatever the Time Police skins are. Pulsefire?
Pulsefire, yep.
Pulsefire.
So they knew he was on bot side. Gala doesn't have cleanse.
Oh, that's a mistake. Does actually someone get out of that before the Aqua Prison lands?
Vampire makes a mistake there. You have to pre-cast the bubble. You cast that, and then Monkey goes for the flash W. It's a tight timing. Early on, the stun. It's not getting as much value as you'd quite like, so it is a flash out of Gala, but it should have been more. Jeje, now on bot side, no flash on Monkey. Can Annie roam down? I don't think they win in a 3v3 with the health bars they've got right now. But there's a recall. Oh, no, that's a problem.
No. He's gonna... oh, my God. Just about got away with it.
Mako had to flash. I think Mako had to flash for the recall cancel that. Chooses not to. Some mistakes made by both sides here, I feel like, in terms of some of the mechanics under the heat of the moment. Bit of pressure. Shy doing quite well in the early game trading in the top side too versus the K'Sante. K'Sante can really struggle versus Poppy, actually. But see if Cube can make the most of this. He had a couple of really good K'Sante guns recently all the same.
Mako gets hit by the Aqua Prison. That's going to set up for an Ardent Blaze, and there's the flash from Mako.
So, double flash is blown by Gala and Mako. As Taeyon comes back into lane, Mako not quite respecting that. Vampire, good Aqua Prison accuracy so far, and the electrocute from Taeyon.
Space Prison, but no.
Yeah,
do you remember Space Prison?
Yeah, for those of you who remember the career of Mad Life, Space Prison on CJ Entis, give him a better AD carry. They should have done. Really ruined the last couple of years of Mad Life's career, sadly, for himself. Shy goes back with the Balmy Cinder, for a bit more of a tanky Poppy build. Will say, not big fan of W's anti-tank killing potential. If they don't get obscenely far ahead, especially against the Poppy and the Skarner, double tank frontline, which can really disrupt you, kind of a problem.
Problematic for sure. As out comes Incinerate. I always get confused which way around it is with Annie. I believe Incinerator's Q and Disintegrator's W, but I wouldn't swear by it.
Mate, I got no idea. I know it's Incinerated, the other one.
Disintegrate,
that's the one.
No disintegrations.
And then there's Molten Shield and Tibbers with, all caps and a exclamation mark.
Yeah.
So, bot lane, no summoners up for IG right now. Karis hanging off to that bot side of the map. We are getting close to that point where Pantheon can start dropping into lanes with that global. W have used globals well with Karis and Monkey before. If they can do it again. Jeje. And waiting in the wings here. Level 6, that can happen there. Karis, he can W the Tibbers now and use that to basically get a free W onto Rookie if he casts it far enough away. Doesn't do it right there. Monkey now down on bot side. Doesn't have that flash and is spotted once again by the Hawkshot map hacks of the Ash.
Good heads-up play. What's not known, of course, is that JJ is in the bush down here. Actually, I take that there's a board in the bush behind, so they should have an idea. Both junglers cancelling and restarting on a similar timer here.
Yeah, there's no flash from Monkey to get over that wall either, so JJ is going to back off. Waves are even. Much better 2v2 from W than the previous games in the series. Down a ward. Vampire potentially looking towards an Actpress. If he lands that, there's no flash on Mako, of course.
Seems like the Typewaller's Blessing. I believe Nami speeds herself up with that. And obviously her passive tends to be that if you hit people with your allies with your spells, you do speed them. That's why you sometimes see Nami's throw Aqua Prisons on their allies. Speed them up.
Yep, and also running through the tidal wave can increase you the speed of your entire team, which is really strong. Please do not walk close to that. He's getting sped up. There's a speed up from the Lulu at the same time. Monkey trying to use the empowered E also for a speed up, but the little less lands. Mako showing the value of an enchanter even in the early game.
It's like a glitter lance, like a really, really aggressive like glitter bomb. You know when you get those through your door. And
yeah. You know, I did watch a lot of YouTube videos on
just in general, or
no, people making glitter bombs for porch pirates. So they had like cameras inside that would watch people like get exploded and get skunk spray onto them. JJ has level 6 going behind Cube here. Very low HP. If he gets close enough to a wall, he can drag him through with the all out. Might have to use the flash here though.
You know how this one goes. He doesn't want to drive through. JJ is driving so far. Hasn't really led to any roadkill. Throws down the steadfast presence.
He's just going to drag him through the wall.
Yeah, that's good.
Wait, Cube?
Location, Cube? Where's he going? Where's the Grand Starfall? He's trying to wait time. Here comes the Pantheon. That's why he's waiting. Turns it around. It was all a ruse.
If they'd gone earlier, they could have made that work. Jeje waits too long. He waits far too long, and Cube ends up pulling the Skarner into the path of the Grand Starfall. Great early game fight. But what was Jeje doing waiting that long?
There you go. We're wondering why he was dragging him that way. We thought it was a mistake. No, it was not. In comes the Pantheon, gets a kill. Make that 2 kills to his name. And can set over towards the Grubs, having gotten that additional advantage.
He used that move speed to get out. Does have the Tibbers back up and available. Could potentially look to steal one here. There's no smite for Monkey. Does get it with that last empowered Q, though. Monkey getting 2 Grubs on top of those 2 kills. Great play. There was a worry about why did you let them have the Pantheon? W are good with globals, and bluntly, IG, you are not good against them. They are bad at judging the map against globals. It's one of their Achilles heels, really. Now suddenly, 1,000 gold lead. A worry here for IG that this will be closer towards game 1. Maybe they were waiting for the W cooldown here on the top side, but I think that's a mistake. Jeje, I mean, guess doesn't want to pull the Impale. Cube didn't find the angle to get Evrio closest, but Monkey was walking up. You could have gone 5-10 seconds earlier from Jeje. Chooses not to. Could have walked up into that lane. Big mistake from Jeje going next to the wall in the first, but I think he could have even gone through River, by the way. Cube manages to drag them back, but for me, this does stink of IG. Again, disrespecting WE.
I think at this point, you can't afford to disrespect a player like Monkey, who for my money is arguably our best Pantheon in the league. He's right up there. There's a few who probably go in on that consideration.
I mean, Kanavi.
I mean, exactly. Kanavi probably foremost among them.
He's good, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Absolutely, but we have seen this guy now. When WE began their run away from being a 0-win team, one of the reasons they made it back up was Monkey getting a hold of Pantheon and dismantling teams with really astute ults.
So Dragon's now up. We've got the Grubs down already, so that's not going to be up on the... no objectives on the top side of the map until Herald spawns in 5 minutes. Rookie laning against the Cassante right now. Popping against the Syndra, not exactly where he wants to be. Stun tanked up by that W. So Cube could go all out here.
He does. He go all out, all justice once mass. That's a lie. Cassante goes all out all the time.
He does.
His mass is probably quite exhausted about, like, dude, stop lying. Just chill out. You don't have to be like this.
Rookie.
Wax on, bro.
The fact that Rookie has to use his flash there, a bit of a problem. Cube... been quite well in that matchup, and this is one of the reasons.
Okay, Santa.
I was wondering why Rookie was laning versus Cube in the first place, because you know you meant to have the Poppy versus the Cassante. You know, now the Cube Cassante has the Cube Sante has 2 assists ahead of the matchup. For some reason, the Poppy is laning against the Syndra, which the Poppy doesn't have that many tools to play against. So IG, maybe they're waiting on the first Ashe arrow of the game. Maybe they can use that on someone like Vampire who doesn't have the cleanse. Don't necessarily want to throw it into the Lucian and just blow that.
Is pretty significant, that. Either way. WE with a solid early game after what looked like some clever bits of drafting here from IG. We wondered about how cool the Ashe Lulu could be into the Lucian Nami. We were talking about the potential ability for Rookie to do some work with Tibbers. That's a solid combo right now, and Cassante does not have a Pathmaker and dies in pretty swift order.
Okay, that's nice. I'll get some plates on top side. I can't remember if that was a shutdown actually, but getting Annie some extra gold is important because IG do need the Annie to be relevant in terms of their damage profile. They don't have that much damage if the Ashe gets blown up. It will be a cross map. W have the 2 Grubs, sending multiple people down to Wild Spot sides. Teleport in from the Poppy. They can't really one-shot that guy quite as easily. Has a Sunfire Cape. First item, so fairly tanky, not going towards something like the Sundered Sky, which you can see on the Poppy. More likely in jungle, of course, but you can have higher damage, less tanky Poppies. Goes towards the Sunfire first, though, and safe under that bot tower.
I've just realised that Pantheon is left-handed.
Yeah, interesting that. I hadn't recognised that myself.
What a nerd.
What?
I just decided that's the mark.
Yeah, if you're left-handed, you're a nerd.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
You're guaranteed to be a nerd, exactly. That's just the truth. Decided this now, objectively, arbitrarily.
That's great. I'm happy.
Thus spaketh Initialise.
That's the past tense we've learned in English. Spaketh.
Gespaketh.
Gespaketh, yeah. Gespaketh.
Reckons the left hand.
That what? Keep spotting on again. Oh, doesn't get the W this time. He doesn't have flash, this Rookie. This is a problem. Where's the all-out going?
Trying to get a little bit away from Monkey, but
he has to slow.
Going to do that with flash forward. It's a good interrupt on that potential look in.
Oh! Mako! No. Mako is so close to flashing and getting that save, but once again, IG, why did you let them have a global? You are so bad at playing around globals, and Monkey is so good at playing with them. Shai's going to go on to Karis, take a bit of a hard trade here. Might be able to get the pop-up. I don't think he's going to get that much done, though. Jump forwards in the mid lane. No arrow used just yet. Goes on to Vampire. Can go for the Impale.
Impale at max range. Gets it down. In comes the Wild Growth. And Gala gets to stand and deliver. Taeyun trying to turn this one back. May need to be a little bit afraid. Forced to flash. Flash on forward for Gala. Gets another. JJ tags the turret. A gloriously played 2v3.
Awesome play from Gala and Mako. Attack the first player. Switch for that arrow over the shoulder onto the person who doesn't have the cleanse. The cleanse isn't used in this fight because there's no value from it. IG team up with their jungler, and they do get a couple of important kills back. They were at risk of falling behind the game. They do manage to find a play while the global is down. Gala, knowing that Mako is coming back towards the mid lane, can take a hard trade. Taeyun a little bit afraid that, you know, his jungler can't come to the plate. The glitter lance lands there too. Taeyun has to dash back, can't do any damage forwards. And Vampire gets ran down. Sadly, he probably, you know, should have played a bit more defensively himself. Playing in mid lane as 2v2, one of the most important skills you can have, of course, to hold that wave. IG and Mako, Gala and Mako rather, playing it well.
Great cooldown management from Mako. That heal at the end to prevent the culling coming on through. JJ taking the turret. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Again, a lot of summoners now playing, but there is that slay that I forget what the
Solstice Slay.
Solstice Slay. I figured out what it does, by the way.
Yeah.
It's when you slow or immobilize an enemy,
yeah,
you give movement speed to the
Rookie does have flash right now, but I don't think he really wants to be using it. Has the Malignance. He's going to go back safely. Monkey not able to stick around and do much about that. Rookie has teleport, and Cube came around the back of that lane just to see if anyone was in that brush, if they could capitalize.
Gonna go walking into that bush now. All the while, Rookie was recalling. Oh, was he recalling an award?
No, he wasn't recalling an award. They put that down after, because of course too late at that point. The show's going to come down now. Going to walk back, falls him away from Tao Taeyun again. Arrow lands, picking him off again.
Vampire is gone, staked through the heart, and Ash is to blame.
They give mid a bad name as they're sat here. Karras could flash forward for a stun. There is a Wild Growth and Mako, wouldn't really be a kill. So, arrows into mid lane. Taeyun uses the cleanse this time, had it available. Can't save his support. This is one of the worries that I do have about Vampire. He's shown a propensity towards the melee support. When he's gone towards range champions too, great read there. Once he's gone towards range supports who are not as tanky, he doesn't necessarily know how to position on them and impact the game in the same way. He's been forced onto the Nami, game 3 of that Fearless. I don't think it's bad for the draft, but right here you can see that he doesn't quite understand when he's in danger in the same way on Leona, Rel, Alistair, Rakan.
Great little zoom from the observers there to show that Vampire thought he was off vision, but there was a ward over the wall that he didn't know about.
Stun there. Great damage.
Taeyun just about getting alive for a second, but doesn't get to stay there. Burned out by the Annie. I was about to say I don't care that much about Vampire dying. It was a great play from IG, but you've gone for the Lucian Nami and not got mid control, not got vision control.
Yes.
That's where the failing is for me, and it's hurt them. 2 plays in a row in 20 seconds.
So IG now ahead in goal. They'll get themselves the Herald on that top side of the map as well. Their first objective of the game. Rookie actually playing very defensively because he knows actually that Pantheon is around with his global. Rookie does have flash, but he doesn't want to blow it like that. And you're absolutely right. You do have to bring up the fact that Lucian Nami is meant to be strong because they win mid lane tug of war. They win that. This is not happening against the Ashe and the Lulu. Not a lane that we see very often, but Mako showing his power on that. Nami came out towards the top side. Rookie can wave clear out from this. He's just quite afraid of a global coming down onto his head again. Mako walking up towards that top side, and that's why the observers are spotting out here. He was on vision. He has that level 11. Does have that range to join into a play. Mako now putting down some defensive walls, clearing out some vision. Important map movement by that Mako. And, you know, Mako has been forever one of our best enchanter players and showing good value on it in this game.
Yeah, he really is, and I think also then credit over to JJ and Rookie for turning up mid lane and making that a 3v2 multiple times, getting a lot of summoners, all those kinds of things, and that's into the global, because it did feel like Monkey was about to run over this game with the squad, and that's not really happened now. This key part of the composition in the Lucian Nami has been successfully attacked a few times now. The Annie's gotten 2 kills, the Ashe has 2 kills. That's a solid recovery from IG, who are now in a nominal gold lead. It's only 600 or so gold, but that is a step up.
Watch again. No, first move from mid lane is from Gala and Mako. Yes, the Syndra is getting some value up to his top side. IG chose to back off on some of the side lane turrets to be afraid of the globals. Rookie on the bot side there, safely playing it up 2, going towards the Leandri second. Yeah, Annie getting 2 kills is important. It does give you an extra carry to play around, you know. Annie can explode the Syndra or the Lucian. If you do that, or the Nami as well, and all of that's very important. As Rookie looks to wave clear fully out. Yes, he does. Cube taking some aggro. This could be a bit of an issue, actually. He might have gone too far. Ash Arrow missing. Flash away from the Impale.
just far enough away, but the Shy will get the turret topside all the while. So there is that. Worth noting, though, because WE did get that turret and they already had the first 3 kills, they just claimed feats of strength. So
yes.
there is that additional winning with feats of strength largely being buffed on this patch with the fact that the stats are a bit better and the price to get up to tier 3 is a lot lower. Feels like a pretty nice addition for WE as they will return to the scene of the crime and claim that tier 1 bot.
So gold over towards Cube. Cube is a 1.2k ahead.
Very tonky.
Yeah, and he's going to be really annoying to deal with.
An octagon. He's no longer just a cube, he's added additional vertices.
That being said, I think he will have issues playing into Poppy and 3 range champions. Normally the Cassante, pretty good in those kind of anti-melee matchups and whatever. I think he can struggle to deal with this kind of composition from IG. IG have a much tankier team than W, especially when you have the extra shielding coming in from Lulu. Nami brings more damage, actually, weirdly, as an enchanter. The Lulu brings the healing and shielding.
I feel like I may have done Cube a disservice by saying he became an octagon. I've removed a whole plane of existence from by throwing him down to 2D.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's my issue.
That's great.
He's a 2D player. That's what that was an unnecessarily backhanded compliment. Like, well, what's a
Gala. Oh, good map hacks there. Hang on, that's a problem there. Shy could go for a wall stone. Karis does have flash.
Oh, Keeper's Verdict. That's a fair amount of damage back. The tidal wave comes on through with a really scary Leviathan within it. The Shy gets wild growthed. And everyone stays alive for now, and I can muse on the 3D variants of octagons at a later date.
Herald's going to go in towards mid lane. There is a flash from Rookie. Hang on a second. Why did Rookie drive that?
It's a bit risky. Flashes away. The Herald dies. Cube now on the side again. My would-be octagon looking.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't get why Rookie drove that. It was going to hit the tower. You didn't have to do that. He loses his flash for very little there. I think that's multiple times in this series. I mean, remember, it happened earlier today. Not in this series. It happened earlier today where someone drove a Herald while a Trundle was there and they just drove it into a pillar. If it goes by itself, you can't stop the charge in the same way. Rookie losing a flash. Lucky not to lose his life, but IG lose a chance to potentially take mid lane turret a lot easier. Afghan spawned. JJ off vision. There are double flashes here. I don't think there's really that much angle to do much. There's a cleanse on Tayun as well. We haven't seen an Asher for a little while. Both of that junglers really tanky at this point. I say, I know, the not junglers, but the Cassandra, hang on a second. The Shine might be a little bit overcaught here.
Karis.
Monkey's coming down. You might need to teleport up. You need to flash away from the stun. Pretty hard to do that. Where's the W? Oh, it does manage to stop out the stun, but where's the teleport? Can he get out alive? Karis can just flash ult him again. Well, he doesn't have the ult, but he can flash.
The shield off the ward! Trying to buy time. Shield was coming up. The hammer shock buys some time.
Oh, the move
He's actually out!
Shy!
He's just better!
The Shy is just better! How did he live? That buys 30 seconds of time from 2 members trying to run him down. That is insane from the little yordle who could.
No joke. He puts a ward down, gets the buckler shield off of the ward to survive another bit of damage, then gets the W move speed again?
That is insane! He's doing this from 1,000 gold behind with basically, well, he has a little bit of magic resist, but not that much. It buys a lot of time, and, you know, that's time which Karis and Monkey could have been using elsewhere. It's a small win, but it will feel good for IG.
That was very impressive. The win state very even right now, and I think that's probably fair. However, that is a very feel-good moment for the Shy, who is, as we all know, a pure vibes and aura player.
He is 100% pure vibes and aura player. Gala has himself Phantom Dancer second now, so he has the crit chance built up from that. Double move speed items too, alongside the Lulu. Really good ability to walk backwards and forwards into plays. Makes it quite hard to chase him down, actually. Karis going towards the Seraphs and the Leandries. Not necessarily the best burst available from him, is worth noting. Monkey on top side.
Is my replay of the Shy play? I want to see
we shall see. There's no top lane turret. Shy getting a good W there to stop Cassandra jumping forwards. Where's the next arrow going to be fired, actually? Gala clearing out some vision control. Again, hang on a second. Here comes Rookie. Doesn't have flash.
Can look for the arrow. It's onto the Nami! In comes Tibbers. They've blown that one up. Taking the turret as well. Rookie will die. Impaled, though. Onto the Lucian! He gets shoved into the wall. Trying to buy some time to stay alive. Will not do so. Cube in the backline. Trying to be obnoxious. Leaves the Shy alone. But he can keep his verdict away at least the Pantheon. All out goes Cube. But he's an octagon. He's being flattened into 2 dimensions. Into a wall. JJ stepping on forward. Trying to get that one. And finally, the Shy falls. A burnout with the upheaval and the tremors coming on forwards. Gala throws out a few more volleys, a few more Rangers focus autos, and IG win that fight, I think, just about because they got the additional kill on Vampire.
And Cube really tried to get onto Gala, but Gala's double move speed items and the boots allowed him to run far enough. Monkey's in the area, does have flash, would love to look for a seal, but I think he would die for it. And I don't know if that'd be worth it. Monkey's gonna get spotted out now. Dragon will go down.
Smoked away. Crab the Scuttle Crab afterwards. That was a really fun play. Get the turret and 3 kills for 2. Largely worth, I think, for IG.
But I really need people to understand. Again, this is happening because Taeyun and Vampire have lost the mid lane push of war, the tug of war. Vampire has flash, doesn't use it, dies, doesn't use that tidal wave. I'm really worried about the Nami play from Vampire. He's not really an enchanter player. Luckily, Karis manages to turn around onto Rookie and take him out, so one of the damaging members is down, but it feels like a lot of the damage is kind of already done. The Shy, incredibly tanky, despite the gold deficit, and the value he brings on the Poppy's been absolutely absurd.
She goes down, but they do trade his life for that of Cubes, and he had a shutdown, I think, on top of him, so they'll take that kill. Back into the life we go. We do it again. Jumping onto Rookie, who gets wild growth, but does die. In came the Grand Starfall. Flash onto Mako, who flashes in turn Q3 just wild, and Tofo strikes out.
So we'll have to see exactly what happened there. That's going to open up the mid lane turret. Monkey didn't have the ultimate, so it wasn't a global, but that's a great combo onto the Shy. Doesn't lead to that much. Here comes JJ, has the Impale. Can't quite hit it.
Couldn't quite hit, and that gives Karis a bit of speed. I think the heal from Vampire is required, but the Shy still gets the heroic charge to the wall. Keeper's verdict after. Here comes to the redemption. Monkey jumping on board with the shield wand for the Shy, who can't get another shield. Gala had to back away as well. Turret shots come on down, and they end up with an additional 2-0. WE strike back.
So WE this time winning out in the mid-game shuffle. That should open up. I mean, Rookie's not going to be alive quite enough in time to teleport. Rookie dying at the start of that play, not what IG want. If he goes down, a lot of that anti-tank damage goes down with it, and if Karis is alive, he has the Leandries on the other side. What happens here? Walking up, Cube on one side. Aram misses this time, and he misses his own stun. So big overplay from Rookie. Gets fully CC'd after. Misplay from the mid laner of IG.
Everyone has a lot of flashes to work with. They got a bit dicier under the turret. We saw 1 or 2 decent combos. That
close
heal, and just enough.
And if that had hit too, that probably would have killed, because you can get the Impale into the wall stun much easier. And in fact, the Shy wouldn't have had to put himself out of position. Close run stuff. It is nail-biting stuff. WE really trying to prove that they can be a mid-table, more than that team. IG trying to prove that, you know, still believe in them, even though they're inconsistent. They can walk away with series, even if they can throw a game in it somewhere amongst it. Gold is near enough even. Lanes are getting pushed out once again. WE a little bit more on the map. Having said, Gala has ult again. There's no Mikhails or anything like that from Vampire yet. If an arrow lands, it's a hell of a lot of work that can follow after it.
Things like Atakan and Baron now being up, I guess the question now becomes, how do these comps want to play around those objectives? We're kind of changing modes and phases of the game. I feel like we've got 2 comps that are a little unusual relative to the current meta. Syndra on one side, Ashe, Lulu's, Annie on the other. So we're used to seeing how these ones play out. Atakan being started though by WE may get a first-hand experience of exactly how it's supposed to play out.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that WE are getting tanking the Atakan. That's not what they want, because that will lead enough damage from IG to make things difficult. Now, both teams have an Enchanter. The Nami is a little bit more damage, a little more disruption, whereas the Lola can turn things into hypercarry. Rookie on the off angle. Karis spotted on top side. He needs to be quite careful here, actually. When Ashe arrow lands onto him, it means that Rookie doesn't need to use it. Hang on, Karis!
Oh, he flashes, but now he's in danger as Rookie speeds himself up with the Molten Shield. Looking to come on forward, stun back onto JJ with the Scout of the Week. The Shy now split off on the other side. Looking for an engage, he gets Wild Growth, double knock up with the Keeper's Verdict. Gala getting healed to spin away as Taeyun throws out the Culling, doesn't get that much of value. It's a very split fight. On that one side, all out goes Q. Monkey gets knocked back away as the Shy trying to find an angle on in. Atakan still aggro. Gala going to try and finish it up. They will potentially claim someone's life, but not quite, and the Atakan is IG's. Very split off fight.
Oh, Karis is lucky to live that. He should not have been able to live through that one. The arrow going through the wall means it's much harder to spot it heading at you. JJ, you need to be a little careful. Has flash. Stun's going to land onto him.
Pretty tanky at this point, but is he tanky enough? I just don't know. Flash shot forwards. Monkey shield vaulting onto Gala. Looking for an angle. There's the barrier. Turning it around. He just not available. Taeyun getting empowered by that Nami. Trying to get on top of the Atakan. Adapting the stun from Rookie. Buys time. Scout of the Week just shy. The T1 orbs fly through, but the accuracy just not there.
It doesn't get closer than this, folks. IG have themselves the Atakan now, and they stop that going up towards WE. Gala lucky to live with that one. Monkey using his flash, Karis using the flash just before that. Those are big tools being used, but on the other side, JJ on the Skarner. It's quite hard to play the Skarner into you know, these kind of longer range CC champions like the Syndra and the Nami, if you get stunned up, you don't reach your target, and you can see the Impales are quite damn hard to land. 20 seconds till Dragon now. It would be soul point for IG. They have the better terrain for this because you do have an immobile Syndra to play on blue side. Stuck against that wall can be pretty tough. IG go towards the bot side of the map. Poppy does have a teleport to join the play. Rookie has flash, importantly.
All right, folks, buckle up, check your posture, get your drinks nice and carefully seated. It's about to get wild and bumpy down here in the bot side river. Dragon is spawning, and neither of these teams have been shy of a fight.
Rookie on the long flank. He's not seen. He's not going to hit the vision cone because he doesn't give things up. The fight might start before he's there. Cube caught into things, doesn't have the flash, and the arrow's onto him.
Looking for that flank, still off vision, still looking for something more. Rookie haunting this angle, looking to be an evil girl from all of the horror movies with the very evil teddy bear.
I think W are giving up the fight. I think they're giving up the Dragon right now, so it will be soul points to the side of IG unless Karis wants to go for a steal with the WQ. He doesn't get it. It's a lot of damage. Doesn't get it this time. Inside track into mid lane. W pushing into the inner turret.
Side, shove on forwards. Don't get that much there. Bit of a chunk on the tier 2. That's about all they come away with. Soul point now for Victor's Gaming. And honestly, the Cloud Dragons, when you're trying to play with a Lulu and Ashe and Annie, even the Skarner, I think that's not bad.
Yeah, Shy. You can see how tanky the front line of IG are, even though they're not ahead in gold. The Lulu makes them that much more tanky. Have a redemption. You know,
Only despairs, shields.
It really adds up over time. That being said, you know, Vampire does have the Mikhails now. The Ashe Arrow is not going to be as important now. I suppose if Rookie gets a multi-man stun, including Vampire, it matters a lot less, but... Okay, Gala, does he have the Lord Dominus Regards on this back? Really important if he does. He does. So he's a lot better at killing tanks now. Shy. Hang on a second. Karis gets the stun. Is the all-out going to come through onto him?
Keep his body pulled back with the Untofo strikes, and this
needed to do that.
Flash.
He needed to do that. He absolutely needed to. By the way, Monkey's just got a Serpent's Fang to deny some of that Lulu value. Wants to halve those shields.
Molten. You've even got Molten Shields. You've got Poppy with her ability to pick them up with things like the Buckler. Hasn't gone towards a Thimblewind or anything, which has often been a Poppy build. Instead, going just raw tank item with the Sunfire and the Unending Despair, which is still obviously going to be very annoying. Skarner shields too, so quite a lot of value there. I completely agree, Rookie.
He sees him on the sweeper. Sees one person in there. We'll see that the recall may be cancelled there, actually. You know, someone was around there. They're hanging towards the top side of the map. Mako does have flash, does have heal, have ult. He should be fine here.
And he's been hit with the Ardent Blaze. Can't get over the wall and was forced to heal.
Okay, so ult for heal. Right, so that one is a little bit more nasty. See the problem with playing an enchant like that. Do they have another sweeper? They do, but it's not on cooldown right now. The Shy's got his. They spot's coming to mid lane. Taeyeon might have to flash.
Person goes wide, Cube potentially ninja, Karis looking for the stun, into the force, but he gets turned around with the arrow! Jumped on! Eviscerated! No chance to decide that everyone else is too weak for them. The power remains leashed. Rookie in danger on the other side as Cube goes all in on a Monkey on the other side, though dies. Ends up being a 2-for-1 right now as they continue to hunt for more. Cube in danger as the bear continues to try and punish the death of its master. Importantly though, mid laner dead, jungler dead, and IG can turn with a man advantage towards the Baron.
IG, on the whole, winning out in the mid lane with the no smite, completely correct, saying, look, they will get themselves this Baron. That's a huge turning point in this game. 4-man Baron for IG to open up the game. That's huge. Cube on the Cassandre trying to do so much work, but just can't carry it by diving the backline alone. 4-man Baron earned by IG and earned well.
Karis, first death this game on a champion we thought might be vulnerable, but when he does die, it matters a huge deal.
This first stun is good, but I think Karis fools himself into thinking he'd not just hit Rookie, but he'd hit Gala as well, and that's the big problem. Ult comes in from Pantheon, tries to use the W, gets blocked on that, so Gala isn't hit onto either. Really well played by IG to say, look, you're just not reaching this Ashe. Rookie does go down, but he's happy trading himself at a 1-for-2 that. Back out onto the map. The Baron will overlap with the Soul, and that's a big Soul to have, as you were saying earlier. I think that in such a tight team fighting setting, that extra movement speed to run out, even as the Lulu or someone, could be really important.
Outside of that Crypt Bloom block there, so valuable for IG when they're going for the first block, but it means that the culling Monkey were getting really stuffed there in that fight as the people they could have potentially threatened were suddenly up 10-20% HP.
This has been a really fun game, folks. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. This is the kind of game which I sit down and I'm just on the edge of my seat. Is it always the cleanest? No, but I'm here to see some popcorn League of Legends every so often. Gala getting closer towards what might be Infinity Edge towards later in the game. God, there's going to be so much damage when that's built up. 1,000 gold ahead. Karis trying to look for that multi-man stun. Does manage to hit them again, but it's quite hard to do a lot of damage to the Skarner.
Act 3 of this particular play, and the popcorn is running a little low. In comes the tidal wave. Gala in danger. He's eviscerated. The power unleashed this time. Cry havoc and let slip the dogs and orbs of war. Mako trying to keep people alive to Shy. Pull back with the Untofo strikes. Part 3 will go down surely as well. Top lane down. And of course, Gala dead as well.
IG just don't know how to play against globals. They did that time after time. Monkey gets into the backline. IG this time, this is a big moment for them. They end up losing a lot of their Baron power play because they don't respect the Pantheon ult. They don't know how to respect Taliyah ult. We saw that earlier in the series. The Pantheon ult, again, IG are really slow to recognize when they're at threat of people roaming across the map.
Globals have been their bane for the last few weeks, and I think it will continue to be so. Monkey looking for a potential flash angle. Mako now around, looking to potentially drive someone to the wall. Though his Cube gets hit by the Impale. It's a double Impale. While Mako is being forced to run over by Monkey, who flashes up forward. The Comet Spear's not there. The stun hit the tower, and he will finally die. But it takes a lot of work. JJ on the back end, looking to threaten. The volley lands as well by Gala. And WE, the tank up the turret is Cube with that Pathmaker. Is there a teleport angle? There might be, you know.
No. Rookie's dead, so there's no one with teleports alive. It would have been Rookie with the teleport. IG have a negative Baron power play after they worked so hard to get it. Get themselves... Hang on a second. There is an Asher coming up in a few seconds.
And there's Soul up and no Smite on the side for WE.
Yeah, that's a problem. So, WE... They win the battle. Arrow misses into the brush. That would have been it. Teleport now coming back through. Make it over the wall. Oh, that's a problem.
Cube, though, going to get stunned to the wall. He's still very damn tanky. We'll be able to surely walk away. Scout of the Week comes on through into the force of will. Gala looking for an angle around. The arrow is indeed back up towards the dragon. We go with that man advantage. Monkey will have man's drop flow in 10 seconds.
Yeah, he'll have that coming up from base, but I don't know if they'll be able to survive through to the point where the dragon is dead. They need to kill JJ, and it's hard to do that through the Lulu.
Stuns him up, down to 3 HP. Keeper's verdict on 2. Makes it the 4v2 in the pit right now. Cloud Soul is theirs.
Rookie!
Rookie is here! Eat my bear, baby! Make sure that they have a nice warm hug. A little too hot as they're sent straight down to the fires of hell.
WE, they see individual plays which will work out, but in this late game scenario, they don't see how it works around the dragon. They end up giving up the soul. IG strategically lose out on the Baron, but still get themselves the soul, and that might still be enough to really turn this game in their favor.
100 gold is all they have for the Baron, but the soul, the base being broken, potentially here with a couple people dead, still ends up being an IG advantage, even if it was scrappy as ever. Carrot's in danger, hit with the Impale, and he is stuck to the wall. The ice follows, and he will find himself in the Antarctic circles. Dead to rights and nowhere to go.
This bot lane from IG have done so much work, brutalizing Taeyoon and Vampire in the mid lane all game long, winning all 2v2s in this game. WE, they have given it a good shot, but IG finally wake up and turn up to play.
The steadfast presence inverts and prevents the shield vault. Now JJ drives him into a wall. Ixtal's impact can be heard reverberating through the rift. Cube tries on the other side, but he's in a 1v4. There comes the Crypt Bloom proc. And Invictus Gaming, there is one final remaining embarrassed base turret between them and the Nexus. Forced the flash there out Gala. Did Taeyoon damage back pretty good. Gala needs to be a little bit worried. Doesn't have any life steal right now. They can't stick around. They can't end the game. It's enough.
Save things for now. The Infinity Edge Spike and the Rapid Fire Cannon. Very, very powerful. So, soul gained. Inhibitor down. Bunch of kills. Not the end of the game. IG will recall. They are ahead of the game now in terms of items. Gala will have Infinity Edge on this recall, you have to imagine, being even in gold. Oh boy, even a Zonya's in for Rookie. That's important for him because he has his damage combo. This will help him keep alive after he's gone in for that burst play. God, where do you even start with this? Where do you even start? We'll go back to the replay of the actual base defense itself. There was a little... I mean, the W stopped with that stun. Yeah. Really nice, but then again, it's kind of the sitting one. The Shy actually went for the wall stun there. I think JJ actually misplayed that a little bit and ended up going a little too far. This is too far. I think JJ actually kind of throws the instant Nexus kill here. That should have been end of the game. Now, they do walk away with another 3 kills. 3 for 1 on the actual Nexus push itself. But this could have been the end of the game. Gala losing Flash. That's a big loss, actually.
I think he felt like he was going to have to flash down. I don't blame him. With Baron coming up now, if he'd been dead, there was a world where WE could have rushed that.
Serious shout out to the Shy. Was 1,000 gold behind, still the best tank on the match, on the field. Now he's 1,000 gold ahead. It is really hard to deal with the Shy. Level 17 Poppy, Rookie on the flank, doesn't have the flash, but if an arrow lands, it won't necessarily have to matter on the other side of it. Baron getting taken, but IG, I think they want the fight.
Rookie has got a blast going to the tree, and they're all grouping up. This Annie's about to come find them. Welcome to an experience of Tibbers. Gets a stun instead onto Cube on the other side. JJ low, does not survive. The power unleashed executes them. They've got the man advantage. The Shy split off. Surely we don't praise him, and he's going to have to blast going out and does stay alive. Rookie with a stun triggered back again. Has still got Tibbers to work with, but the man advantage is WE.
Hang on. Rookie's might go for another player on the flank. They are actually pinging the bot wave. I think IG realized that they could actually end the game through bot side, so it's not going to be the slam home which WE would have wanted in the first place. They're going to push through mid lane, teleport in from the Shy. He's coming back in just to make sure he can intercept that wave. He does have the Poppy ultimate, so again, temporarily make it an uneven numbers fight. So Taeyoon is spotted. There's the blast going, the arrow. Mikhail's onto Vampire himself. Self-casts it, importantly so. But the item is still down and won't be there for the Tibbers.
That's important. Rookie, no flash either. All of these flank angles look so much more lethal when he can flash for the big ult. The vision, though, for WE
He's still off
is
vision.
non-existent.
He's still off the vision. Monkey's actually quite low HP here. He needs to be quite careful. He could get one shot by a late game Annie. Is level 18, so he's out-leveled Annie. And the Syndra too on his own team. Jeja's back alive. They have the smite available again. You don't have Mikhail's this time, WE. Ults are all back up again from IG. We're late game. Everyone's got cooldown reduction. Max rank of ultimates. Here we go again.
The night is dark and full of Annies. Throws down a stun again. It's onto Cube, though. Not the most damage right now. Scout of the week available.
Smite fight.
Can be a smite fight. It absolutely could. Keeper's verdict knocks one away, and that means Baron is Invictus Gaming. The Shy goes on forward to the flash. Josh doesn't land it into the wall, but Cube split off from his team. Pathmakers for a second, but the path is looking mighty short as he's hit with an arrow. Redemption comes on through. Monkey off to one side, split off a little bit, trying to threaten the wave. Rookie still threatening Taeyoon, who's forced to E away. Cleansed again by that
The slow.
The slow. Tibbers goes on forwards. Molten Shield on top of it. Trying to man drop out, and Monkey escapes.
Goes into the mid lane, but he goes into Impale. Rookie has another stun. Can he live, though?
Oh, Monkey see, Monkey don't, as the wild growth comes down on top, driven into the wall as well. Cube now in danger, looking to get stunned up on in as he will all out regardless. The steadfast presence just timing out in time. They still get the kills. 2 men dead. Karis, Taeyoon, Vampire against the wall, and Invictus Gaming are looking mighty heavy. WE, Atlas, they are not.
IG, they have been made to sweat, bend, and buckle, but still they stand. Do I trust this team? Hell no! Are they winning anyway? Somehow, yes.
It is never dull. It is never boring. Invictus Gaming, bring us content, bring us fury, and bring us to a Game 3 win.
WE do